Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we could talk about.
Yes, speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Thursday, October 8th, and COVID has come back to the Tennessee Titans. After a couple days away from the Tennessee Titans facility, a couple more positive COVID-19 results have come back to the Tennessee Titans, which means that although they have already postponed their last game against the Pittsburgh Steelers this past Sunday and had the Pittsburgh Steelers take a week 4 bye week instead of the week 8 bye week because they couldn't get things figured out. Not that it was their fault, but since COVID only showed up in the way that it did in their building as opposed to everywhere else in this massive way. So after that game gets postponed, the conversation was, well, what about the Titans-Bills this upcoming weekend? Will the Titans and Bills be able to play? Now here we are on Thursday of a game that is supposed to take place on Sunday. And another positive case has rolled out of the Tennessee Titans franchise. I assumed this morning whenever I woke up that when I heard this news that the NFL would institute their plan all along, which is, okay, we're going to add an extra week for games that need to be made up because of a COVID miss. And if there's multiple teams that have to play multiple games, we'll add on another week. So I thought we were eventually or potentially going to get to the inevitable rollout plan of how they're going to extend the season a couple weeks to let games happen. But no, my friends. No. The NFL is figuring this out on the fly. The NFL said, well, that could potentially just move the Titans-Bills game this weekend back to Monday or Tuesday if there's no more positive cases, a la what happened with Cam Newton and the Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs, which went from a Sunday game to a Monday game. So then you start looking ahead for the other team involved in this who has had 0 positive cases of COVID-19. The Bills, since that game is potentially getting moved from Sunday to Monday or Tuesday, the Bills are set to play the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday. So then that game would have to obviously get moved. So now we got moving pieces, and they're saying that the Bills-Chiefs potentially goes to Saturday night football. It happens at the end of the NFL season. They move over to Saturday night because college football is down for a little bit, and they got both days. It is a great time to be an NFL fan when it's on Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and that could be happening because of COVID. But how many times can they do this? I don't know if this is a plan that they're going to be able to rely on in a pretty heavy fashion as we move forward with this COVID 2020 NFL season. They've rolled out more stringent protocols for the team facilities. I've gotten a message from a couple of my friends around the league that said the NFL, and I don't know if this is potentially instituting or they are instituting, there'll be 3 NFL representatives walking around practice facilities to make sure nobody is in groups. And they will write down names of anybody that is breaking any of the COVID protocols inside of the building. I don't know if that means they can walk around the locker room. I don't know if you just got these random people walking the streets a la V for Vendetta or whatever it was back in the day. I don't know if that's the case. Then obviously the NFL rolled out these new protocols in a tiered fashion, and they also said something in there that was very interesting. The surveillance cameras that are inside the building and outside the building, the NFL now wants access to those cameras to see if anybody is breaking any of the COVID-19 restrictions that they have put in place so that this season can go on without a hitch. And if you're outside of the NFL and you're just a fan, and there's been a lot of people that have been picturing the bubble, and I'll tell you what, I got 5 text messages from former teammates of mine that are still in the league that said, stop even fucking mentioning it. Stop mentioning the bubble. We do not want it. But if you're a fan, you're just like, put them in a bubble. Just put it in a bubble. It's not working. Just put it in a bubble. But if you think about the teams and the humans and how big it is, that is something that's going to be damn near impossible at this stage of the game for them just to concoct an area that has all the space that's needed and for them to go in there. Now, maybe the at-home bubbles where they stay in their own hotels like it's training camp all season, and maybe somebody said on TV, alluded to, maybe once a week they get a conjugal visit, which is very, very nice to them. But it is also something that this is potentially a real moment for this 2020 NFL season. If more positives keep coming out, and more things start to happen. And they can't just configure a way to move these games. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, we'll bump this one over here to Wednesday, then we'll do this. That's going to be tough to do. I have no idea if the schedule makers are going to be able to figure it out. I would assume that they have not slept much as of late. But all the NFL is trying to do by enforcing these rules and everything, they're trying to get the COVID completely out of the NFL locker rooms. I'm not sure that's going to be possible. So we, as a show that observes and reports mostly on the NFL and other sports, if they are, big enough to have some juice to be talked about. Chris Mad Dog Russo, the man that this channel 82 Mad Dog Sports Radio is named after, he gave me a call before I went on the air and told me a couple things have juice, some things don't have juice. A lot of other sports don't have juice, but we talk about it. But if we observe and report, the NFL right now is in a hilarious spot. What will they do? I thought today was the day we'd hear about an extra week. It is not. They're reconfiguring the schedule. When will that day come? I'm guessing mid next week. Ooh. That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing by mid next week, we have a plan from Roger Goodell about how the NFL is going to add one season for makeup games, or add 1 week for makeup games this season, add 2 weeks. And the interesting thing, and AJ Hawk and I talked about this yesterday, it won't be the teams that have a chance to go to the playoffs that you have to worry about for those ones. It's the teams that are 2-11, okay, and their off seasons have already been booked, and they have to wait 1 week, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks and play more games. I'll be excited to see how those teams work. I'll be excited to see the opt-out clause if there is one. I'll be pumped to see how this all plays out, but that's 2020, baby. We have no idea what's going to happen. All we know is tonight, the Tampa Bay Q Gronkaneers traveled to Chicago to play the Chicago Bears. We'll talk about that. We'll give you some locks. We got James Jones joining us, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champion, now at the NFL Network. We have Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston reporter, who told us that this Patriots team was going to stink before the season started. We'll talk to him about his thoughts. Cam Newton, Stephon Gilmore, two best players on the team. Confirmed COVID case because they went to dinner together on Friday night. Nobody else got it somehow. Great job instituting the social distance rules and not be around each other rules if that's the case. Way to go for them. And Darius Butler will be joining us in the 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time hour to give us his lock for the passing yardage over-under tonight while Tom Brady plays against the Chicago Bears, which are led by Big Dick Nick Foles. Should be a great day. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. Can't wait to hear from you. The boys are here at Tone Diggs. What's going on, bud?
Pat, do you think that we haven't heard of a Week 18 or anything like that now because teams like the Patriots, who did unfortunately get a positive COVID test, and then they followed the rules, now don't have any positives today, and the Raiders, who probably follow the rules, don't have any positives today, but maybe it's just one fucking outlier team that can't follow the rules that is potentially ruining the season for everyone?
So interesting here because when Mike Vrabel talked about their initial positives, it was 3 players, 5 personnel that tested positive the day after they beat the Vikings. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was initially it. And everybody was like, whoa, here we go. This is what we all thought was going to happen, but now we actually have 3 cases. This ain't that 77 false positive situation that happened out of that New Jersey lab months ago during training camp. This is real. These have been multi-time tested. Here we go. We're off and running. So Vrabel came out and said, I think what we've all learned is that it's nobody's fault. Like, this just happens, this just happens. And it is weird that it has seemed to happen around the league a little bit. Oakland Raiders had 1 player get it. Obviously, the Patriots had 2 players. But the Titans, with the level of humans, the amount of humans that they have it, okay? They got like 20-some people now that have it.
3, I think.
And it's just been rolling out as it's going. Then you got investigative journalism happening by the sports reporters down in Tennessee. They're like, oh, here's a picture of them gathering at a field because they weren't allowed in the facility because of the COVID-19. So I would assume that some of their vets were like, hey, if we're not in the facility, we're getting worse. Everybody else is getting better. We should at least do a little routes running or something like that where we can socially distance, which the photo I saw seemed like that's what it was. It seemed like it was maybe Tannehill throwing throwing with a quarterback or something like that. But still, the Titans decide to have this gathering, which is this where the COVID continued to spread? Nobody knows. But it definitely gives everybody an excuse or a reason to say that the players fucked up completely. And Paul Kuharsky did do that down in Tennessee. And a couple of the players have responded, basically telling him that he's a weird man here, says Jeffrey Simmons. You're a weird man. Stay from around our organization if you're out to hurt our team. LOL, clown. Don't look like none of my teammates in this picture, okay? So they're saying, the players are saying, no, it wasn't us in the picture. But the NFL has come out basically, and people have quoted them, and it said it's not if they're going to be punished for this, it's when they're going to be punished for this. So nobody knows how that's playing out. But it is very weird that one particular team can't get it figured out when everybody else has it. And it's like, is it inevitable that every team is going to potentially have this outbreak? Or have the Tennessee Titans fucked this up? And I'll tell you what, people have turned on the Tennessee Titans franchise. There are players like, oh, get them. There's ex-players that are like, yo, get them off the tour, Doug. Then there's former players that are like, they should just take losses, which, by the way, was talked about by the Pittsburgh fan base just last week, instead of them having to postpone a game and move their bye week completely. Everybody's turning on the Titans right now. And the Titans are sitting back wondering, was this 100% our fault? Did we do these things wrong? Or is this a pandemic that's just spreading at a rapid rate around the entire globe, not just our locker room? And why is everybody else able to handle this except for us? Or are the Titans thinking this is going to happen to another team? Other team is going to have to deal with this. And when they do, we would like everybody to apologize for what we got fucking going on down here.
Yeah, and that tweet from Mort, it would suck if they do, like, I assume that the league will not have anyone forfeit games. They'll probably take draft picks or something like that, because the forfeit of the game then hurts the Bill players. They don't get paid for a game. It also gives them a free win. So, like, you're going to have the rest of the AFC East complain about a free win, or if that one win affects the playoffs down the road.
Schefter this morning on Get Up said that if they end up just not having a couple games, win percentage will be used to see who can get in the playoff, as opposed to your record, right? Because if some people only play 14 games, a la the Titans, which could potentially happen here, or if people play 15 games, your winning percentage would be the move. And I think this is what baseball did, right?
Yeah.
At Ty Schmidt, that's what baseball did, right?
Yep.
Baseball said, we can postpone games, we can do this, we can run 7-inning double headers if we have to, but in the end of the day, it's just going to be winning percentage and how people get in. I don't know how that is going to fly in the NFL. Excited to hear about it, but they might run out of options if they have to keep delaying these games. I mean, whenever you're moving the cups, which is what they're doing, inevitably the ball that's underneath one of them is just going to get exposed.
Trickle out.
Yeah, it's just something's going to happen. And it feels like that right now they're kind of handling out as it goes. But I think this could be tough as the year goes if it is like this. But also, let's not rule out that everybody tightens up after this. This is exactly what happened after the Marlins had their outbreak. And COVID, that some bitch, is, exiled from the NFL operation, which is what everybody is hoping, I'd assume, in New York and the NFL offices.
Diggs alluded to it. Do you think that that's just what it's going to be? They're going to get punished and they'll fine them and take like a draft pick? Like what? I mean, you can't let one team upend the season, which is basically what's potentially happening right now.
And that's kind of what happened in baseball, right? When the Marlins started messing up, people were like, just fucking cancel their game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get them out of there. That's on them. That's not on us. But I think every other team is potentially aware that this could happen to their team in a little bit. And any rule that you make right now, right, for the Titans, it could potentially come back and bite you in the ass later.
Right.
That's like whenever, you're creating a game or something and you have to create the rules to the said game. Because that is a part of creating the game. You know that if you make a rule and it helps you right now, there's a chance that said rule could bite you in the ass down the road.
Absolutely.
And that has happened on plenty of different occasions throughout this life, I would assume, and in this office. We have to get to a break here. James Jones will join us on the other side. We'll also take some of your phone calls. We have Darius Butler on the show today as well. He's talking, obviously, passing yardage over and under. But Xavier Woods of the Dallas Cowboys came out with a hilarious quote. Just a hilarious. Aaron Rodgers said a quote the other day that I would assume a lot of players think, but not a lot have the resume to actually go out and say. Xavier Woods, Cowboys safety, 6th-round pick, had to work his ass off to get where he is, was kind of overlooked. He came out in a press conference and said what I assume a lot of guys think, but you can't really say. He said the effort's been good on certain plays. Some guys, I mean, me included, there may be a lack, but overall the effort is there. We're in the NFL. You don't expect guys to go full speed for 70 plays. That's impossible.
Jeez.
but team pushing hard, they say.
Oh, really?
That is, I assume a lot of guys think that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, man, there's no fucking way. Hey, if this offense is going to keep getting these 3 and outs and then they're going to throw the ball, and we're going to be stuck on the field, we're not going to be able to just fucking lock it down for 70 plays. That's impossible because we have to react to people, which takes a lot more energy than actually knowing where you're going before a play and being able to sub in and out. I mean, it is, if you expect us to go 70 plays, you're out your goddamn mind. Can we talk about something else at this point? I'm sure there's a lot of people that think that. But once you come out and say that, you're immediately going to get told by everybody, oh, shut the fuck up.
He also talked about he used an example like a backside corner running someone down. Yeah, we get that, but like you got to say it differently, I think.
Yeah, you have to. Just because the public perception is going to turn on you quickly for that. Even though I would assume, and we'll ask Darius Butler about this, I would assume 90% of corners, safeties, and defense players think this if their offense is a quick get off the field, leave defense on. I assume that is the case, right? But to come out and just be like, 70 plays, you want us to go full, I mean, that is damn near fucking impossible. Publicly, you got to expect some backlash, which is what he's getting right now. But I would assume that he is not alone in that. We'll talk to Darius Butler about that. And in the third hour, we will talk to Tom Curran. We have quite a Thursday. We can't thank you enough for joining us. We'll take some phone calls and talk to James Jones on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 8th.
Week 4 is officially in the past, so let's get some Gumpy nukes to start off Week 5. 11 out of the 15 games this week, we're seeing teams favored by 6 points or more. This year, the team that's favored by 6 or more is covering 15, 10, and 1 against the spread. Now you know where I'm going next. It's the over-under stat of the day. The Vikings and Seahawks total is at 58 points. Since 2006, when the total is set at 57.5 or more, it's covered 7 out of 8 times. Add on to that these teams have hit the over in 6 out of 8 games this year. We'll be back tomorrow with more stats, more info, and a full Week 5 preview on Hammer. Dad! Cheers.
I think it's going to get a little bit better going forward because I think after 4 games we'll have a better idea about the teams because that's a large sample size, 1 quarter of the season. And these lines I think are reacting. Like these lines this week are incredible. I mean, do you see some of the highlights? I mean, Dallas is 1-3. They're a bad team, and I think they're a 9.5 point favorite going against the Giants on the early Monday line. So
that and the Texans. I think the Texans are a 7.5 point favorite, and they haven't won a game yet either.
I know, so it's great. So I think there's money to be made out there. Just like people, if they pay attention, they can make it.
You're talking about right now. You're saying let's go ahead and get going. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's some times where you want, like, look, if you would have taken that Washington line at 12.5 against Baltimore, you on Monday, but once it got up to 14.5, you didn't get it anymore. So sometimes you got to take, like the Rams are a 9-point favorite against they come back and play Washington this week. So, that probably line will move to 10.5 before the week's out.
McAfee Show.
Those ones are quick.
Quick bump.
Turns are quick. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. Thursday, October 8th. James Jones will be joining us here in a little bit. Insider for ESPN, a man who's been seen on Get Up in the Morning, Mr. Dan Maziano. He had an entire thread of tweets here that breaks down the entire Titans situation. It is very, very interesting whenever he lays it out what's going on behind the scenes for what he knows. Maziano tells us, for clarity on the Titans situation, this is what we actually know. There is an NFLPA investigation that could result in discipline if Titans didn't follow protocols. The September 30th off-site player workout is part of the investigation, but not its sole focus. There is more. NFLPA also looking to how the virus entered the Titans facility and how it spread. Were masks not worn properly? Were protocols not followed during team travel, etc., etc. This is more important than whether the players should be disciplined for working out together. There's still more. As to the September 30th player workout, Titans and Vikings were both told September 29th that facilities were closed and there could be no in-person activity either at facility or away from it. Whether/how that info was communicated by team to players is part of the investigation. There is more. NFL and NFLPA do not want to make teams forfeit games. That is a last resort idea that would only come into play if rescheduling proved impossible and a team proved responsible. Titans Bills is likely to be rescheduled even if other games have to move to accommodate. Bottom line, this is all, and that's the Maziano bottom line. This is all more complicated than any of us ever thought we'd have to prepare for. The league, the teams, the players, the media are all figuring it out as we go. I mean, I like him putting himself in this. Anyone who insists they have a simple solution is wrong, delusional, and frankly, unhelpful. Shout out to old Maziano. I like what he's talking about there. That's the entire thing breaking down. So how it got into the Titans facility is still yet to be talked about, right? Because initial reports were, we don't know how this thing got in here. It's nobody's fault. We're talking about a virus that we don't know much about here 6 months after the whole thing has kind of shut down our entire world, blah, 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 blah. Now the NFL and the NFLPA are like, well, we would like to find out because nobody else is having it happen. So if this is on somebody in the locker room, we would like to talk about it. And you saw us fining coaches $100,000 and teams $250,000. Just wait till you hear about the motherfucker that brought old COVID into the Titans facility. That son of a bitch is going to get it. I'll be excited to see what the punishment is, what the reaction is. And I like the fact that they said canceling, forfeiting games will be last resort. So right now you see them trying to move the puzzle pieces around. This weekend, Titans-Bills is in jeopardy to happen on Sunday. They said that could move to Monday or Tuesday, a la what happened with the Patriots and the Chiefs last week. That would then make them have to turn the Bills-Chiefs Thursday night football matchup on NFL Network with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, move that to potentially Saturday night, which is very interesting. So now the Chiefs, Bills, who normally you don't like Thursday night football games anyways, later in the season because they lose that back end thing, but they don't have to play on Thursday. I think Saturday night is a great option, obviously. Hate that we're going to have to miss some college football potentially for this, but here we are. This is 2020 NFL. And joining us now is a man who's a Super Bowl champ, works for the NFL Network, friend of the show, ladies and gentlemen, James Jones.
Yeah, James! Woo! What's going on, fellas?
Hey, COVID's a son of a bitch, James.
Ooh, tell me about it.
This Thursday night game between the Bills and the Chiefs next Thursday could potentially move to a Saturday game, which means will NFL Network still have it? Probably. So that does, I mean, that whole thing business-wise for NFL Network and the NFL will figure it out. But if you're one of these players, do you just have to have the mindset that literally anything could happen, even if we do nothing wrong and it happens somewhere else? If this is the 2020 season, we just got to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge our way through this damn thing?
Absolutely. And the crazy thing to me is everybody's acting like it's a surprise. Like, we knew that this was going to happen. We're playing the season under these circumstances. We knew that some teams, some players would test positive for COVID. We knew that this was going to happen. Now everybody's shocked that it's going to happen because the first 2 weeks there was no positive test. Hey, we're on a good note right now, but we knew that this was coming. That's why we said the practice squad players, other players off the streets are going to be key. It's going to be some guys that make their name this season because of these type of situations. So I'm not surprised that all this is going on. I don't think other people should be surprised. We just have to find a way to deal with it and go out there and figure out a way to play football games. But as for the Tennessee Titans, you mean to tell me I'm in season mode the building, people in the building test positive for COVID. You just want me to sit on my butt and not do nothing and then come play a football game and possibly get hurt? I got to move around. I got to work out. I got to continue to keep myself in shape. So for me, on that standpoint, that's stupid. You just want the players to stay at home, not go to a park or whatever and work out to try to keep themselves in shape. But we knew that these COVID problems was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised. And you can follow along with James Jones on Twitter at 89, the number's 89, Jones NTAF. And if I do recall, NTAF there at the end is not just random letters that you had to add on because at 89 Jones is already taken. It's never think about failure, right?
Yes, sir. Never think about failure.
Great motto. And I wonder, did the NFL think about that with this COVID thing? Did they never think about failure, even though you said that none of us are surprised? Because right now, it seems like their mindset is we are going to try to shuffle games and get these all in. But at some point, I think we all understand there's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to just shuffle and something's going to happen. Do you think there will be an extra week at it, an extra 2 weeks? Or do you think the shuffle will continue to be something that is a successful outcome for the NFL?
Well, that's definitely their mindset right now, as you can see. Their mindset is that we are going to play these football games, get through this season no matter what. We started this thing. We are going to finish this thing. You can tell that that's their mindset. So I do see maybe possibly the playoffs getting pushed back and things like that getting pushed back to try to squeeze these games in there in the end of the season, games that you push back or canceled or whatever, to get in the schedule. So I do see that happening, pushing back this playoffs, because we all know it's football, it's violent. So you can't have these guys playing on Saturday and then bouncing right back and then playing on a Sunday and then bouncing right back playing on a Thursday if they got a Thursday night. That's a lot of football games on these guys' bodies. So I do see this thing happening and it getting pushed back into the playoffs. But I definitely feel like we are going to finish this thing out.
The Chiefs, I think, were going to have 3 games in 11 days or something like that. I forget what the exact math was. So if they move from Thursday to Saturday night, that would help them out immensely. So I assume they're like, yeah, if the Titans can continue to dose and dough out in the park and move this game, maybe we'll get a chance to do that. It's just also interesting because the conversation yesterday turned pretty national, because whenever you said we weren't surprised that this happened about that, you're 100% right. But there was a lot of people that were very upset that the NFL was going to have a season, especially in the middle of the time they're in right now. So as soon as they saw a little bit of a weakness potentially in the NFL operating, which they hadn't seen for the first 7 weeks, training camp included, plus the first 3 weeks, as soon as they saw, oh, here we go, here's COVID, here's games getting postponed, boom, 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 they took it as a chance to do a victory lap. They're like, listen, we told them that they weren't going to be able to do this unless they have a bubble. So then yesterday, the conversation around the networks was, is a bubble what should be happening? I got 5 text messages from former teammates of mine that are still in the league that said, if you say the word fucking bubble again, I will kill you. So I don't think the bubble is something that players are into, aside from physically, logistically, with the size and the mass of a team and an operation. Why else do you think players would hate the bubble idea, James?
I mean, come on now. I mean, you're talking about putting us in a bubble. We can't see our families. We can't hang out. We can't do these things. We can't really live a normal life. Putting us in a bubble, you know what I mean? We already don't like being around our coaches enough. In a bubble with these dudes, and then you already know, Pat, when you lose games, how coaches really get on the edge. Man, I'm not trying to every day in the dang bubble. I need to go home, get away from you, and do all that stuff. So I do not think a bubble would have been good for the NFL. Yeah, it's good for the NBA. You got 11-day players, whatever, 15-day players on your roster. But you're talking about 55 players. You're talking about if a guy gets hurt, you got to rotate guys in on practice squad and all that, and they got to pass this COVID test and all that, and the bubble and all that. That's just too much going on, man. You cannot do a bubble for NFL football teams, man. That's just not possible, man. And we want to live our lives, too. Not saying we want to go out there and be reckless, but you want to go home to your family. You want to see your family. You want to see your friends and all that. A bubble ain't happening.
Well, that was the message that I got in a lot shorter words, basically. Did you hear about J.J. Watt and Bill O'Brien? J.J. said he's not talking about it, obviously. But yesterday, whenever I heard about the situation, I assumed that the team, because it was alleged that, now we don't know if the story's true or not, right? This is all alleged at this point. Been reported by multiple people. JJ said he's not going to talk about it. Let's move forward. It was alleged that JJ and the defensive coordinator basically publicly in front of the whole team was like, nah, we're done with your shit, basically. Do you think the rest of that locker room, as soon as you see JJ Watt turn, you go like, hey, we've been waiting for you. Like, hey, thank you. Like, hey, I think that is kind of what it was. And I would assume Bill O'Brien very quickly noticed, like, oh, I'm probably done being the lead counsel, GM, head coach, and play caller here relatively soon.
You know, it's crazy because I didn't even hear the J.J. Watt comment, but, you know, the players that I've been talking to over there in that locker room, in that Texans locker room, said, man, this ain't good. And you know, and that's just me keeping it classy on your show, Pat. But they like, man, you know, he's not getting the job done. So for JJ to stand up and say that, he already had a bunch of players behind his back. Like, you're right, it's time to go. It's time out of here. We've been waiting on this moment. You know what I mean? I know a couple other leaders would stand up on the team, but hey, you the main one. It's time to get him out of here. But they just said that it wasn't working out over there, man. He was play calling and, you know, how the structure and stuff of things was going over there. He just was not getting the job done. So I'm not surprised hearing JJ get up and say that, but yeah, it was time for Bill to go.
Well, the interesting thing here is Bill O'Brien started taking on more responsibility as they continued to fail. So he's like, you know what? He kind of ran out of fingers to point at anybody else, because the coach can always say, well, the team isn't good enough. We're just coaching who we got. That's a direct shot at the GM. And the GM can say, we have a talented roster. If they're not winning, that's a shot at the coach. And then there's always these things that you can take shots. He ran out of fingers because he started giving himself all these jobs. And now they're at a situation where they have to hire a GM, who Jack Easterby or whatever, this guy that we've never heard about, is acting GM. He'll step down after the season. Okay, I've seen somebody just relieve power before. That is something that'll happen. They have to hire a coach. They got Romeo Crennel right now, who's 73 years old. So even if he does well, he knows that's a bad situation to be in down there, and you just paid your franchise quarterback. That is not an expected situation.
It's not, man. And like you said, you just paid Deshaun Watson. I still feel like they got a lot of talented kids over there, especially on the offensive side of the ball, man. They got a talented ball club. I feel like you need to add a couple more pieces on the defense, man, and you'll be up there competing, man, for some championships, man. But now you eliminate the GM, you eliminate the head coach. Now you got to bring in a new head coach. So Deshaun Watson got to learn a whole new playbook. You know, you got to teach him all that new stuff and all that. That may take some time, you know what I mean, for him to get comfortable with that new system, man. But, you know, the good thing is like I said, whoever comes over there is the GM, whoever comes over there, that's the head coach. I feel like they're coming into a very good situation with a lot of good players. And a lot of organizations can't say that when you lose a head coach and a GM. You usually come in, you got bad players, you got to rebuild this whole thing. At least if you come to the Houston Texans, you're looking at a very talented roster, and you're telling yourself, dang, if we had a couple pieces on this side of the ball, we really have a chance to compete. So that's the positive thing, man. You got stone pieces in there, man, in that organization.
Yeah, and if you go in there, you got to be like, man, it'd be cool if we had like a top 3 wide receiver here.
Gave him up, huh?
Oh,
You had one?
get him the hell out of here. Get him the hell out of here. Hey, did you hear Aaron Rodgers' quote the other day? I hope you did. It was the greatest. How happy are you that people are getting? Yes. How happy are you that people are getting to learn about Aaron Rodgers, though? Because it does feel like the entire world is getting introduced to Aaron Rodgers, because his motto, his life motto, as a former teammate and friend of his motto has always been, I'll kill him with indifference. So people would always come out with just these stories that are ridiculous about him, and he wouldn't even answer. So he wouldn't even answer and just be like, I'm not even entertaining that story. Because if he did a couple times, maybe it would change like these narratives that just build and build and build. It's kind of like a snowball effect that happens. But now he's coming out. I think he's comfortable. He's at a point in his life where he's like, you know what, I'm going to be me. And I think the world is getting to meet an awesome human that is at the top of the game and a GOAT in this entire thing.
And it's crazy, man. And the thing I'm most proud of is my swag rubbed off on him. I used to be in the locker room, man, like, man, F these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Hey, give them what they want. You know what I mean? That's just the type of dude that I am. And, you know, I finally feel like, man, the JJ swag has rubbed off on 12. South Bay is what I call him, has rubbed off on him, man. And he's really giving the people what they want. But at the end of the day, he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right.
Absolutely. There's nothing anybody can say.
These quarterbacks that they talk about, man, big time year for him, Pro Bowl year for him, he needs to get paid. Man, these is average years for 12. These is average years for Aaron Rodgers. But then when you come and talk about him, it's like, oh man, this is a down year for him. Look at his numbers. Look at what but at the end of the day, we understand Aaron Rodgers has set the bar so high for himself. Listen, they're always going to come on him, but I love him barking back and speaking up and saying how he truly feels, because it is the absolute truth, man. And my humble opinion, he's the best in the business right now. And it's crazy because I was on NFL Network yesterday, and before the season started, it was, why didn't the Packers go get a first-round receiver or bring some people in there to help Aaron Rodgers and all this? And now that he's balling, DA is not there, Devontae Adams is not out there, MVS is out there, but what's my
Lazard.
man? Lazard is out.
Yeah, Lazard.
Lazard is out. So Aaron Rodgers is going out there with practice squad players. If this was any other quarterback, everybody would be like, oh, look at who he has out there. How is he getting the job done? This is crazy. He's doing it with less than all these other quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, he doesn't even have his guys out there. But since it's Aaron, oh, man, look at, he got guys out there that can run and catch. Why? Because it's Aaron, and Aaron can throw the ball with the best of them and make everybody better. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson is winning in the MVP conversation right now in everybody's opinion. Not mine. I'm taking 12. But could you give Lockett and
Greg Olsen
and Big Dog to Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, and Greg Olsen too. Let's not even
and Greg Olsen over there. Like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? So everybody now, the receivers and the weapons don't matter because it's 12. You know what I mean? Hey, every receiver is good. Practice squad street, it don't matter. Every receiver is good when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy. But he set the bar that high. But I'm glad he's coming out and speaking his mind, man. And like I said, I rubbed off on him, man. Gave him a little Cali swag.
Well, thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. The Cali swag is always good to hear publicly, especially when it's coming on this show, because I enjoy it. I love hearing stuff like as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, thank God you said that. Like, because, by the way, I didn't hear one single player, not one player was negative about it. Every player was like, talk your shit, Eric. Like, hey, talk your shit. That's everybody's thought. The only people that are upset about it is the people who have probably said bad things about Aaron Rodgers in the past, whether it was about him personally. And they, by the way, they talked about that comment yesterday on every single network. And the only negative people were like, well, of course we know that, Aaron. What we're talking about is maybe being humble. It's like, well, you never say anything good about the guy ever. The only time and now you're like, well, of course he's great. It's like, well, why isn't that
all of a sudden?
Yeah, why is that in the conversation every other time? And I'm so thankful for it. And he only looks like he's getting better. I mean, it looks like he's getting better at this age. It's insane right now.
But see, I tell everybody, man, when I talk about Aaron Rodgers, man, and a lot of people get it caught up because you see him just throwing the football. Aaron Rodgers is a tremendous athlete.
Oh, yeah.
If you put him on a golf course, he's going to be one of the best golfers. You put him on a basketball court, he's going to be one of the best basketball players. You put him on a badminton court, he's going to be one of the best. He's just a tremendous athlete, man. Like, he's talented at everything. So when he gets on the field, people underestimate how talented he is, and not just throwing the football, just on the athletic standpoint of it. He's an extremely talented person. I mean, he almost reminds me of myself. He's extremely talented, man. People need to understand that the dude is talented.
Doesn't get talked about enough, James. Doesn't get talked about about you or about Aaron. What do you got, Ty?
James, going off that idea, Aaron told us a couple weeks ago that he was looking at some film from like 2010. I think it was the year you guys won the Super Bowl, and he's gone back to that. Have you noticed anything like in his play when watching him that would kind of like allude to that fact? Like, oh, maybe he's doing this different than he did a couple years ago.
Great.
Oh, yeah. And that's a very good question, man. But when I watch Aaron Rodgers the last 2 years prior to this one, he was getting out of the pocket a lot. He was getting out fast, and it wasn't necessarily him not trusting his O-line and all that. He just was moving out of the pocket because he knows he's dangerous out of the pocket. But when Aaron first stepped on the scene, and we all know, he was standing in that pocket. He was throwing the ball on time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The ball is out. Stepping up in the pocket, getting the ball out. And when I watch him, now, this season, he is standing in that pocket. He looks like vintage Aaron Rodgers, MVP Aaron Rodgers. He's standing in that pocket. He's stepping up in the pocket. He's delivering the throws on time, right when the ball needs to be delivered. And when he has to get out of the pocket, he's getting out of the pocket, making the plays. And that's what he was That's what he was when he was on them MVP campaigns. He was making every right play. And when you watch Aaron Rodgers through these 4 weeks, you cannot pick a play right now and say, dang, that was a bad play by Aaron Rodgers. Every single game, Aaron is making the right play. But what I see different is he is standing in the pocket. He is on rhythm. 1, 2, 3, the ball's coming out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the ball's coming out. It's on time to the receivers. And he's picking and choosing when to run, get outside the pocket. He's just doing everything right, man. And I told people he's in that Michael Jordan zone, man. He cannot do nothing right, and he doesn't feel like anybody could beat him. And you see him flexing right here. He don't feel like anybody could beat him. He's in a zone. And most of all, you see that picture right there? And I'm going to call him a kid. The kid is having fun.
Oh, yeah.
He's having fun. He got a smile on his face 24/7. He's just going out there having fun playing football, man. And that's the best thing about it.
It is. But, boy, there are people, for whatever reason, that are, set in their ways of hating Aaron Rodgers for whatever reason. And then because of the drama, whatever drama or story that was concocted that he chose not to answer because that's just the way he is. And all I see now after he comes on every Tuesday is a bunch of people that were like, I hated Aaron Rodgers until I listened to him on your show. It's like, well, maybe that meant you should have said, I didn't know Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
Maybe that's how you should have phrased that.
Yeah.
But let's move to another GOAT, shall we? A lot of people say the GOAT, 6 Super Bowls. That is very difficult to do. I think anybody that's ever played in the NFL knows that even if you're a Patriot member, what they were able to accomplish there, 9 Super Bowls, 6 wins, is outstanding. Then whenever they leave, go to Tampa. Now you got Bill has a team with Cam. Tom's got his Tampa Bay Q Gronkaneers. They seem like they've been figuring it out week after week. They started adding the tight ends a little bit more after a little bit of a public difference, I think, in opinion between Bruce Arians and Gronk and Tom. And it feels like they're kind of finding the right pieces now to be the team that they're supposed to be as opposed to what they were the first couple weeks. They play against Big Richard Nick Foles tonight on NFL Network, a network that you work at and crush it on. How do you see this game going? What do you feel for tonight? And do you think that Chicago Bears defense, which is still very good at the football, is a problem for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, which has been hitting and finding a groove?
You know what? I think this defense of the Bears, Khalil Mack and Big Hicks in the middle, I think they're going to be a big problem for this Tampa Bay defense. Tampa Bay offense. And the reason why I say that is everybody's high on the Buccaneers right now except me.
Whoa! Let's go. Oh.
And I'm not high on the Buccaneers right now. And the reason why that being said, man, is you play the New Orleans Saints, you open up, you look absolute garbage. Yes, everybody says, hey, the chemistry, the communication, and all that was not there. You looked absolutely garbage. And then, hey, the schedule was in your favor. You got the Panthers coming in town. You got the Chargers coming in town. I forget who else they beat, but I'm sure that they weren't a very good football team either. So your schedule was very favorable for you. So for me, this is a big test for this Tampa Bay offense because this Bears defense is big time, and you're coming into their building, and you got to play football at a high level. I do not think Tom Brady and these Bucs are going to get the job done tonight. I love the Bears. I love the Bears in this game, and everybody's been on me because I'm like, man, Tom Brady has lost it a little bit. You know what I mean? And they're like, what are you talking about? And this and that. And I'm like, man, listen, in 6 out of Tom's last starts, he got 4 pick sixes. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? This season through 4 weeks, his stats are the exact same stats as Jameis Winston last year. Ooh. Oh. Jameis Winston has more yards. Tom Brady has 1 more touchdown than Jameis Winston, and he has 1 less interception than Jameis Winston. Oh, you know what I mean? But everybody with Jameis Winston was so bad last year, but the stats are identical. And then when you really look at it, the defense last year after 4 weeks with Jameis Winston was ranked 30th. The defense after 4 weeks with Tom is ranked 8th. You know what I mean? So they're making the plays, and they're stopping people when they got to get stops, and they're winning ball games. But the stats are identical, you know what I mean, to Jameis Winston. So I'm still not a believer in this Bucs offense and this Bucs team. They got to show me tonight.
James, I did not expect that. I did not expect that because everybody's talking about how Tom's throwing the deep ball better than he's ever passes longer than 15 yards. He's got the most in the NFL at this point, which is that Bruce Arians offense and all that. Yeah. And you're like, nope, complete opposite. Actually, this guy's losing his shit right now.
Yep.
Really?
Wow.
I feel like the teams they played. Look, even he dominated the second half last week. the first half of that game last week, they looked absolutely disgusting. If the Chargers do not fumble that ball, you're going down at halftime 3-0. You do not get the ball back on the 5-yard line. You're going down 3 scores in that. That was a big play for them in that game. No disrespect to Tom. He came out in the second half and he said, y'all about to get it now. They need 4 touchdowns and, you know what I mean, get on up out of here. But I feel like you're going up against a very good defense tonight. These last 3 weeks, you have not been playing good football teams, so you can make those mistakes. You can throw those pick sixes. You can bounce back and win ball games. I don't think you could do that tonight. I like the Bears, and I'm not a believer in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And everybody could tweet me. You done gave them all my I'm not shying away from nobody. This is just how I feel.
Well, let's talk about tonight because it is primetime game. And when you think of Khalil Mack, you think of a primetime, like they make plays in primetime. That is why people elevate themselves from being a good NFL player to a great NFL player. Normally that leap comes whenever prime time is on, when the lights come out. Dwight Freeney told me that very, very young in my career. I don't know if he told me that or was telling somebody else that, and I overheard him say it. But every primetime game we were in, Dwight Freeney had a sack or 2 that night. It was just like, hey, when the lights come on, the stars come out. That was kind of like the mindset. In that defense, Khalil Mack is a superstar, and he can wreck a game if he wants to. I'm intrigued. So you like the Bears plus 3.5 rather heavily tonight, then, is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. My prediction of the score is 31-17 yesterday on NFL Network.
Oh, my.
31-17. They make it rough and tough on this Tampa Bay offense tonight, man. Khalil Mack, like I said, he is coming off the edge. But not only that, he has a counter partner in Big Hicks that's going to be pushing up that middle, collapsing that pocket. We all know how Brady struggles is when that pocket is getting collapsed in the middle of the O-line, and they are coming tonight. I like the Bears big. I could be wrong. I don't think I'm going to be wrong, but I could be wrong. But I like the Bears big in this game, man. 31-17 Chicago Bears. And listen, Pat, you know, I played for the Green Bay Packers. I don't root for the Bears.
Yeah. Hey.
I don't like the Bears like that, man. So every time I say the Bears going to win, man, I feel my skin cringes, man. Yeah. I'm like, man, what's going on? But the Bears gonna take this on tonight, man. And if they don't win and Tom Brady goes out there and he balls out, hey, you proved me wrong, Tom. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, NTAF, never think about failure, but I'm praying for yours because I already bet the Buccaneers minus 3.5. Ladies and gentlemen, a superstar on NFL Network, Super Bowl champ. Follow him at 89 Jones, NTAF. Ladies and gentlemen, James Jones. Thank you, James.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Hey, thank you, man. I did not expect that.
No, not at all.
Jesus.
The lights come on, Brady usually wakes up.
Maybe I need to reassess Tom Brady and how I feel like. I thought he's playing better. The ball seems to be spinning. Deep balls are coming out. Pick sixes, I assume, is because Carson Palmer told us that first year in that Bruce Arians system, there's some things that happen that if the wide receiver and the quarterback aren't on the exact same page, it could be problematic. That's why Jameis threw a lot of picks in his first year in the Bruce Arians system. Carson Palmer threw the most picks he's ever thrown in his entire career in the first year in Bruce Arians system. So he predicted, and I think he told us, like, expect Tom to struggle a little bit because the offensive system is a little bit different. But aside from that, I didn't know him and Jameis' stats are exactly the same at this point because people were talking at this point. I don't think it was like Jameis isn't going to get a contract anywhere after this season, which is what happened after the season was over. But this early, I think people wrote off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. It's probably because their defense stunk too. Whole different ball game now. Let's get to a couple phone calls. Wow. Damn.
Bucks weren't 3-1.
While I was on a Stairmaster this morning, hammered the Buccaneers. I mean, fucking hammered them. Just because I was like, you know, Tom Brady, Buccaneers, they're figuring it out. They're not going to lose this game. But the more and more he talked to them, like, they did look like shit in that first half last year. I mean, there was a lot going on. By the way, we are a sports show. Can we please put the side? Yeah! Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to Jack in Wales, UK. Jack, what's going on, bub?
Hey, Pat, how are you? How are you and the boys?
So much better after hearing you talk. I'll tell you, yes, you sound amazing too, sir. What do you want to talk about, brother?
With the Titans breaking all these protocols, what do you reckon the chances are that they refund the first 3 teams they played and just give them auto wins, void the rest of their games, and don't give them a first-round pick? That'd be void their seasons for not involved.
Hey, that'd be mighty gentlemanlike of them, wouldn't it be?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, I think so too, Jack. Thanks for the call there. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I like the fact that somebody from UK is like, hey, well, they should just do the right thing and potentially just give everybody else a W and maybe just drift off in the sunset and say, hey, we suck this year. We fucked it all up. We'll disappear. The issue with this, Jack, is, and this is coming from somebody who plays a lot of games, that rules change in different regions, depending upon where you're at, whether it's 33, everybody has their own version of 33, 21, any game, any card game, normally regional has different rules. I mean, I live in those worlds, okay? So whenever you start playing with somebody, and it's by the way, new season, new rules here with the NFL, especially with COVID. When you start playing a game against somebody that's from that has different rules, and they say what the rule is, you then automatically go like, okay, that's the fucking rule, right? We're playing that for the rest of this time, even if it doesn't help you. Yeah, that's the rule. It's like, okay, I'm going to remember that now. That's kind of what I think the rest of the NFL is doing right now, looking at the Titans, is like, whatever we say should happen to the Titans could potentially week 13, week 14, week 15, week 16 come back and kick us into taint, because this could very easily happen to us like it happened to the Titans. And I would assume that's why you hear a lot of other teams not saying a damn thing, like, yep, okay, whatever they got to do, like, let's just figure out. They're probably pissed off that this is happening, but anybody that's like, oh, they got to forfeit games, give them losses, do this, I think every other NFL team is smart enough to know, like, hey man, I mean, well, you saw that guy who accidentally, he ate next to that guy.
Yeah.
And if that guy did that, I mean, that could happen to us. We don't want anything too drastic to happen. That's why I think fans should also remember that, like, hey, there's a chance we hate the Titans right now, but your team could have that happen. Not that your team would do anything that the Titans allegedly did, which is being investigated currently by the NFL and the NFLPA. But I'm just saying, if this does happen to your team, because there's 150 people who have to hopefully act 100% right for 4 months straight, there's a chance that it could happen to any team. I would assume that's why fans should reconsider their calling, and maybe Jack's calling for every single game being a loss from this point back.
Before, James Jones, you talked about potentially next week, because of the Titans having to be pushed, Titans and Bills having to be pushed back, that the Bills and Chiefs Thursday night game might have to be pushed back. So if it goes to Thursday night, we would have Bills Chiefs on Fox at 8 p.m. and then you'd have Bama and Georgia at 8 p.m. on CBS.
If this goes to Saturday night.
Yeah.
If it goes to Saturday night, Bama, Georgia.
Wow.
Bills, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
What a night. Good day, sir.
Good night, sir. That'd be unbelievable. I'd be down in that room. Shout out to Zito, Tim McAfee, Samantha McAfee, and our friend Welly for putting that thing together. 2 TVs just watching that thing the whole time. It'd be like back in the day, Monday Night Wars, Nitro versus Raw. What are we doing here? Let's flip back and forth. And then one of them would say, don't even think about turning over to the other thing. Georgia's up 20 or whatever. And then that would be just like them saying, don't turn it over because Mankind just won the belt. And everybody went over. And that was the end of the Monday Night Wars. I believe Fowler and Herbstreit would just be like, well, you know, you guys are bouncing back and forth here. Just let's keep you updated here with what happened. Now is the time to spoil the shit out of your dog with BarkBox. 2 toys, 2 treats, and a chew starts as low as $22 a month for $60 worth of dog chews and toys. It's the best day of the month for our dogs when the BarkBox arrives. It's like Santa shows up at the house with 2 treats, 2 toys, and a chew. That's a tough one. My dogs absolutely love it. I look like a hero to them. They think that I genuinely care, which I do, but I don't get to the store enough to get them their toys, their chews, and their treats. BarkBox does that. They also, right now, if you join at barkbox.com/Pat, you'll get a free extra toy in every single box for the next year. That's $60 worth of toys that are free for your kid, your box, your dog. Barkbox.com/Pat. Shout out to BarkBox for making me look like a hero to my pooches. Hour 2 starts on the other side. We got Darius Butler and more of your phone calls. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 8th, 2020.
You know, I sometimes laugh when people talk about, you know, down years for me, because a lot of times down years for me are career years for most quarterbacks.
That was awesome.
Hey, it's just the facts, bro.
You and me, I think, are the only people that can do it, dude.
That's old hat, Pat. I've been doing that for years. I've learned that in high school.
Hey, can you explain when you actually say the words hard count in your hard count and it works?
Yeah, was that trolling? That was definitely trolling.
I saw that. No, why would I say hard count? That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I did not say hard count.
I want to know what's this bye week like for you, man? Like,
so COVID test every day, and at some point you got to let adults be adults and make decisions, understand the consequences. We can't hold everybody by the hand.
Yeah, a bubble would be awesome, Aaron. Put you guys all in one big hotel, huh?
Yeah, I won't be a big fan of that. All
I guess not.
The fucking media does is write stories to get clicks. So it doesn't matter. Like, I can give a long answer about something, and they can take a blip of it and write a story about it that has nothing to do with what I was saying.
So how do you know what to believe then, A-Rod?
I think you just have to be skeptical in general. I think that's having an open mind, is being skeptical and not just believing everything at face value, and do your own research and not just listen to something because somebody told you, some blue check mark on Twitter told you to believe something. You should have an open mind and feel into what you think is the truth.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, you were preaching right there, sir. You were preaching right there.
What is up, everybody? I want to talk about the bad man that is Aaron Rodgers. And before I talk about this, because he was on Pat McAfee's show today, so go on Twitter, go on his YouTube, and watch the interview for yourself to make sure I don't misquote him like I'm the media or something. I don't do that, all right? But he talked about that. He talked about the media, how he'll say a big, long speech. He'll go on and say something, and they'll take a little bit of a clip, and they'll use that, and they'll clickbait it, and they just try to destroy him. Everything this man does, they try to destroy him. I swear. So many writers it's clickbait. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is like a lightning rod for this thing. And then he mentioned that people talk about his down years all the time. He said, my down years are like a career year to a lot of quarterbacks. And that's facts, dude. That's true. I saw people on Twitter saying, well, that's arrogant. See, that's the thing with the media, not with just the media, with the fans, but Aaron Rodgers. If he does nothing, says all the right things, just goes up there and be exactly what he's supposed to be, then you want to talk about his family. You want to talk about he's a bad teammate. You want to talk about he ran Mike McCarthy out of town. He's uncoachable. He can't coach with he can't last with Matt LaFleur. And then, so now he's balling out, which he always does. But now he's a little bit loose. You know, Rodgers has got some stuff to say, and he should. He should defend himself. I applaud Aaron Rodgers defending himself because all these people put dirt on his name, and now finally he's like, yo, I am that man. So his off years is a lot of quarterbacks' career years. Dude, there's a lot of quarterbacks last year. They had Aaron Rodgers' numbers. People talk like, woo, look at this boy. But no, it's Aaron Rodgers, so they want to throw dirt on him. So I say, Aaron Rodgers, keep this going. I love this whole interview stuff with Pat McAfee. Let it flow, baby. Let the haters know. Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Let's go, baby. Discount double check. 4-0, baby, going to buy. Yay, yay. I don't know why I did any of that. Go, Pat, go.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
while being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello! It is Thursday, October 8th, and hour 2 of the Pat McAfee Show here on Sirius XM begins now. Big day in the NFL here this Thursday, October 8th, because yet again, another positive test has rolled out of the Tennessee Titan building. Just 4 days after a game being postponed against the Pittsburgh Steelers into later in the season, it does feel as if the Tennessee Titans organization are potentially going to have another delayed game, which is supposed to be against the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Now, it's only one more positive test after a couple of days of negative tests, so who knows if this is just an outlier or this thing is continuing to spread around the Tennessee Titans franchise. But now the Titans-Bills game will potentially be on Monday Night Football or Tuesday Night Football if no more positives roll out as this week comes to an end here. Now, we are on Thursday. It's very, very, very close. But then next Thursday night game is supposed to be the Bills versus the Chiefs. So if the Titans-Bills this weekend move to Monday or Tuesday because of a Titans COVID outbreak that is lingering around the facility, then the Bills-Chiefs game, which is supposed to happen on Thursday, that would then have to be moved. And they're saying that's potentially getting moved to Saturday night next week. Bills, Chiefs, a little early appetizer before a Sunday NFL or another NFL Sunday. I cannot wait for it because on ESPN you'll have Bama and Georgia. CBS you'll have Bama.
So Kirk and Fowler are potentially getting screwed because they got Baylor and Oklahoma State. So not a lot of eyes going to be on that.
No, sorry, Kirk. Well, congrats to CBS. Well, and what's this on? This is Fox, I guess.
Fox NFL.
Well, NFL Network then, right? Because that's an NFL Network game Thursday night. Does it happen Fox until? I don't think it happens.
I looked it up, and I believe like Fox. There's a screenshot of all the Fox games, and this was one of them.
Okay, it start at a certain date, right? Because Rivera joined us and said the only reason why he was allowed to speak the first Thursday night game is because it was only on NFL Network, wasn't on Fox. Does that mean NFL Network likes Pereira more than Fox likes Pereira?
Tonight is on Fox.
We will dive into that drama later. Starting in October then. So starting in October, I'd assume this is the first Thursday night game of October, right?
Yeah, both this week, and then it looks like going forward, they're both Fox and NFL.
Okay, so here we go. So second week of October, because a week ago, I guess would be the first, and they definitely played on Thursday Night Football a week ago. Yeah. But now we got Tampa Bay, and we have the Bears on Thursday night. Next Thursday might not have a game, but that'll move to Saturday night. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Is that the future? Is that the future AFC rivalry a la what Brady and Manning used to be in the AFC? Who knows? The NFL's got to figure it out, though. I think it's only a matter of time before they announce that there will be an extra week at the end of the season. Remember, and I'm sick of saying this, but it's literally our sources told us this. And I think we're the only people who have said this. And I see people tweet other networks whenever they make an announcement about the Super Bowl potentially being delayed, about the information they heard from this show that a source accredited. The NFL has the Super Bowl hotels for an extended month after they're supposed to have it. And they don't have them reserved for an entire month. That'd be a lot of money, and the NFL doesn't do that. That's why billionaires remain billionaires. They don't just waste money. But they have the right of first refusal for an entire 4 weeks after the Super Bowl is supposed to be. So at some point, you would think that they potentially thought, oh, we might have to delay some games here. Let's at least make the end of our thing have a 4-week buffer if we potentially need it business-wise, logistics-wise, hotel-wise, because we take over an entire city whenever we come down there. So I would assume that the thought of adding an extra week or two on the end of the season has already been thought about. It's just when do we get to that point? Because right now they're playing the shell game with these games, and it's working. And I love that they're doing it, especially if we have a Saturday night game between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I am here for that. Sucks for CBS, I guess, because they got Bama, Georgia, which is a massive game. We'll be flipping back and forth. We wish old Herbie and Fowler had it on ESPN, but CBS will do, I guess. I mean, I have no relationship with them, never talked to them, but that's neither here nor there. But I feel like at some point they're not going to be able to push a game. Like the the Bills-Chiefs game being affected by a Titans outbreak from 2 weeks previously. I don't know if they'll be able to do that if this thing continues at all throughout the season. So the NFL is either hoping that, A, we get this outbreak completely under control, because it only seems like there's 3 teams that have had any outbreaks here for the last 7 weeks of us doing this thing, or they're just inevitably waiting to announce. But then if you have that extra week for games, what if teams have 2 games they have to play and this team has 1 game they have to play? That thing could potentially go on for 3 weeks. And if you're a team that played all 16 games in your 17 weeks, are you just sitting around for 3 weeks? It'll all get dicey. It'll all get very interesting.
And now this year, since only the 1 seed gets a bye, like what if you're the 1 seed and you got all your games in, and now you're going to have to sit out 3 weeks before you play a team that's played a playoff game already before you and is not 3 weeks rusty?
How about this? You finish all your games. Okay, so I finish all my games. The Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
Hey, congratulations to me beating Indianapolis Colts.
Nice.
You play all 16 of your games. Somehow you don't get affected by any other team that had COVID or your team having COVID. Somehow the path that is on the back of the cereal box, your team got around it from start to finish when nobody thought it was possible. You are currently in first place. The team that is in second place has 3 games left, but they're playing against bottom of schedule or bottom of record teams. So those bottom of record teams that now have to play 3 extra games at the end, but they know they're out of the fucking thing. Are they going to be playing their stars? Are their stars going to opt out? Are they going to be playing their practice squad? So then the second place team, because they have to make up 3 games playing against 3 bad teams, you would assume maybe like if they played the 3 bad teams earlier in the year, they probably beat them. That's why they're bad teams anyways. But at this point, this team is a practice squad team. How do you feel if you're the number 1 team that somehow got through the season right? There is a lot of conversation that's going to happen, and it all revolves back to that message we were told from our sources that in July the NFL told all the teams, hey, when it comes to the COVID and how we have to react and handle COVID, whether it's fans in the stands or schedule realignment or players being out that you don't expect, we do not care about competitive fairness because we can't, because this thing could potentially run wild over there.
And what happens too if like the 1 seed is the Packers and the 2 seed are the Bucks, but the Bucks couldn't play a couple of games and they're 13-1, and the Packers are 13-3, and then all of a sudden they have a better win percentage and they become the 1 seed.
Yeah, the win percentage thing is interesting because Adam Schefter got on Get Up this morning and he said that, and I would assume Schefter just is throwing this out there as like a potential, right? Because we saw Maziano tweet that the last thing they want to do is forfeit games or anything like that, right? That he tweeted out an entire series of a thread of tweets that that's the last thing they want to do. I would assume the last thing they want to do is have teams finish with like 14 games or 12 games and then go off win percentage, and they somehow edge out a team that played 16 games, but their win percentage went down potentially at the end because somebody got injured in a game and they're out 3 weeks, which could have happened to the team that only played 12 games because they still have 4 weeks left, which that could have happened to them. But once again, don't care about competitive fairness whenever it comes to the COVID situation. We got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, baseball did the same thing as far as winning percentage, but luckily, like the 2 teams that didn't play 60 games, it didn't matter anyway. So that's always the hope.
Titans going to matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Titans are going to matter. We could all assume at this point. I mean, especially with who knows how. I like the Houston Texans, by the way, this weekend. I like Houston Texans.
Really?
Normally, when a team has this type of moment happen, and it's like they like.
The whole locker room's together?
Yeah, it's not like the locker room's. They're going to put their best foot forward, I think. I think they're going to put their best foot forward this weekend. I think I like the Texans. Now, this could be something we talk about on Monday and go, well, I didn't expect them just to quit on fucking Romeo Crennel. I mean, that could have potentially happened. I don't think that's going to happen. No. I like the Texans this weekend, and I like Minshew Mania. Hey, you beat the Colts earlier, but I think you're running into a buzzsaw, which is a team that just ran their coach out of the fucking building.
Well, and it does seem like as the season has progressed, the Jaguars may be who we thought they were.
Oh, no.
No, I won't say it.
They were hot first week.
Come on.
19-20 against the number 1 defense in the NFL, Gardner Minshew.
They were hot.
I have that thing. You'll never hear me bury the Patriots because I lost very heavily to the Patriots a lot of occasions in fashions that were not nice at all. So last year when everybody was like, hey, the Patriots stink, the Patriots stink, the Patriots stink, this isn't the same old Patriots, I was like, I'm not saying it. Because I'm not saying it because they still have Bill Belichick, and there's a chance that they get hot in the playoffs somehow, they outcoach teams, and they win again, and it would be the most Patriots thing ever that they did it. So I was like, I'm not going to say it. I'm the same way against this year's Jacksonville Jaguars because of what they did to the Indianapolis Colts that first week. I mean, they shut down Phil Rivers like no team has been able to do it. Now, granted, Phil Rivers has not had his greatest year, they're saying, or whatever, but he's playing complimentary football here with a great defense. I won't say it this year about the Jags.
That's fair.
Okay, they beat the hell out of the Colts.
Yeah.
And I hammered them. I actually made my lock of the weekend that they were going to lose. And we talked about how that team was tanking, which, by the way, it really felt like they were. If you were good at football, you were gone out of there. So I can't say what you just said, where you said basically like they are exactly who we thought they were before that game against the Colts. That was really a curveball that none of us could have seen coming.
Pretty much.
I can't say that.
Okay.
Do not count out baloney Doug Marrone. He will go get on a run with Gardner Minshew.
Doug Marrone is the man who is the head coach for the Jags. Obviously, for those that don't know, you could potentially not know him as that. You would know him as the guy who quit his job as a head coach for greener pastures, and then those greener pastures did not come. And then he ended up at the Jaguars a couple years later, and hey, still doing his thing. And I like anybody that'll be like, nope, I'm done with this. I can do better. I'm going to do better. Do what you got to do. But the Bills are pretty thankful he got out of there, too, because they got McDermott, who seems to be a godsend to Bills Mafia. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's go to Dante over there in Baltimore. Why be less when you could be more? Lamar missed practice yesterday. Was not because of COVID, though, which everybody feared. It was because the precautionary reasons for
knee.
I thought it was a hammy, but knee is not great. That's not great. Anytime you got a joint instead of a muscle, not great. But let's just assume it was a little bit sore. Maybe had to drain it a little bit. He'll be back. He's a great athlete. He's playing great football. What do you want to talk about over there, brother?
What's going on, guys? How you doing today?
Just hanging out, Dante.
So first thing, I actually heard it was a groin, and I heard from somebody on Twitter who's actually somewhat reputable that it wasn't very serious and it was just precautionary, like you said. But what I want to talk about today is Kyler Murray being revitalized in the next few weeks here. So, disclaimer, I do have a very handsome future on him on FanDuel to win the MVP, so do with that what you will. But if you remember last year, Lamar Jackson didn't win the MVP through the first 4 weeks. Through the first 4 weeks, they were 2-2. They had just lost a brutal game at home to Cleveland, lost by like 15 or something. It was bad, right? And everybody was saying the book's out on Lamar. Everybody knows how to defend him. He can't throw the ball, whatever it was. And then he went on a tear, right? He beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, beat Cincy, and then went to Seattle, won by 14. Down the stretch here, Kyler Murray, I think, is looking good, and it's going to start with the Jets. Kyler's going to go off against the Jets. We're going to see Joey check down on the Jets side. He's not going to do anything. And then he's got the Cowboys, terrible defense. Seattle, bad defense. He's got a couple games that are down the stretch where
Super Bowl.
Footsteps revenge.
Dante went on a hell of a run. He had that really well thought out. But there for a little bit, I was wondering if his person had better information than fucking Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, which I would like to know either, because a groin is much different than a knee, by the way.
Schefter and Rappaport both reported knee, but if this guy's got something more reputable than those two, then...
Well, Dante could be on it. He was talking about how Lamar Jackson struggled a little bit, just like what Kyler has done the last 2 weeks, basically. And now Lamar turned it on, figured it out, and was like, boom, hasn't turned back since, which I respect a lot because Lamar has been awesome to watch. And I think the reason why Lamar got hot after struggling a little bit is they threw him like 45 times or something like that. If I do recall, the story around Lamar Jackson was he hated being called a running back, which, by the way, I would be too if I was Lamar Jackson. I would not be happy about it. But I think he and the offensive coordinator went on a mission to prove that he could play 45-time pass attempt a game quarterback if he had to. And I think in the process of doing that, which, by the way, I think he could have been able to figure out, but they did not have a lot of success. In the process of finding it out, I think they all realized, like, hey, Lamar, just because some stooges say you're not supposed to be a quarterback, let's not let them deter you from what makes you MVP football player in the NFL. It's because you can run better than running backs, and you can run faster than wide receivers, and you can throw just as good as great quarterbacks. Let's go ahead and utilize all those weapons and maybe dial back the 45 pass attempts. And then once that happened, I think that was a real conversation that probably had to happen between Lamar, Harbaugh, the offensive coordinator. Like, I think that was a real conversation that happened. It was like, Lamar, let's not let these idiots who have no idea how special you are make you think that they think you're a running back. Who cares what they think? You're an MVP football player. Let's just go for it. Or Lamar said, hey, let's not throw it 45 times anymore. I can outrun all these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I can actually hit spin moves and all these people can run. Maybe that's what happened as well. But I think a real conversation happened, and that seemed to like invigorate, I think, Lamar Jackson. And after those games, he just became an alien. I mean, he just became something that the NFL just couldn't keep up with. You can have the right scheme, you can have the right strategy, but if you get Lamar Jackson with one human, it's over. He's going to hit it, and he's going to be gone for 75, 80 yards, touchdown. And you can't scheme for that. You can't prepare for that. You can't put a corner at quarterback all practice week that is anything like him because nobody's like the guy. And then the thought was, well, will offensive coordinators be able to figure out Lamar? Will Lamar still be able to bottle up what he was having last year and carry it into a new season, which is very difficult for all styles of players. And I'm not just talking about because he was a run guy. I'm talking about drop back pass quarterbacks. Sometimes they can light it up, and you're like, all right, are they going to be able to do the same thing they did last year into this year? And you say, yeah, well, they probably learned how to read defenses, and they have a good offensive line and all that shit. With Lamar, it's like, okay, it's strictly dependent upon Lamar being Lamar. Will he still be able to be the same Lamar last year or this year as he was last year? He has proven that he is. I guess there are some stats that you can point to that are down. They're still winning football games. The game against the Chiefs was a down game. That's going to happen. Not everybody's going to go 16-0. Only one team has done it in the history of the NFL, and it's the 72 Dolphins. So I don't know if Kyler Murray is Lamar Jackson. But I also don't know if they can change the offense like they did for Lamar Jackson into a different style of offense like they were able to do in Baltimore. Cliff Kingsbury, also a very young coach. He's still trying to figure it out. But for me, Kyler Murray can only be Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray, those first 2 weeks, was electrifying. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch somebody throw the ball that hard, that accurate, that impressive. And then also do a slow down, high step, juke the shit out of a guy and run around another professional athlete like it was nothing. It was just special. And then these last 2 weeks, he just hasn't looked like that. So it's like, will Kyler come back? We don't know. Will Cliff Kingsbury and that offense be able to figure out how to make Kyler the best Kyler he can be? We don't know. But we did know that about Lamar Jackson. So I think it is a very fair comparison because they're two young quarterbacks that have kind of taken the world by storm whenever they're great. But I don't think it's anywhere near the same situation, I don't think.
No, but Darren does have a good point. That Dante does have a good point. Jets, Cowboys, Seahawks is a nice little string of defenses that you like to play, probably.
Absolutely. And by the way, Kyler is one of my... I got a tease coming out with FanDuel this weekend. It's my lock. Super boost. And I am still betting on Kyler.
Did you just tease the tease?
Have to.
I teased the tease. Okay, I got a tease coming out tomorrow on FanDuel Sportsbook that is going to have incredible odds that... Go ahead and get excited about it. And Kyler Murray is a part of it, just strictly because I still believe in Kyler because those first 2 weeks I saw something. I was like, well, if that is what that guy is, that's problematic for people. And I hope that comes back. And the Jets feel like the right team to do it. But I don't like the shot he took at Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Got that city a Super Bowl. And he said, check down Joe. Do you not recall pass interference, Joe?
Yeah, that
led you guys to the Super Bowl. He's throwing the ball deeper than anybody else.
Footsteps revenge game. I mean, that is in the cards. You can't rule out the Jets going out there and getting their first win.
I do believe I bet against the Jets the night Darnold got hurt. Mm-hmm. And when Joe Flacco came on the field,
you were worried.
I legitimately was worried. I was like, oh, fuck.
Here we go.
What if this is a revenge game for Joe Flacco? Because he was also playing.
Yeah.
Like, what if it was a revenge game for Joe Flacco? Now, this is another revenge game for Joe Flacco. Does Joe Flacco have enough hate in his heart for all these revenge games? I'm not 100% sure. I hope so. I hope he has a lot of hate in his heart or whatever. And maybe he'll be able to have quite a day. But I just don't know if he has enough. I don't know if he has enough energy to prove all the haters wrong at this point.
Enough gas in the tank.
You know, because everybody comes. Joe Flacco, I don't know if he knows this. If he does a lot of internet, he moves the needle. Joe Flacco moves the needle on the internet.
Weapon.
He was
always
on the
has.
podcast.
Always will. He was on our podcast for. I think it was a half.
What ratings? Quadruple?
Maybe a second.
Maybe a second and a half.
Yeah.
He was in the background of a conversation we were having, and Joe said hello or whatever, and was like, well, Joe, we're going to say you were in the podcast. And I actually said to Joe, hey, thanks for letting us say you were in the podcast, by the way, because you were. Mm-hmm. So if we didn't say you were in there, we'd be lying. We put his name in there. We had more listeners than we've ever had in our entire life.
Biggest show ever.
And it's all the same thought on Joe. Everybody's like, Joe Flacco. And it's always like, there's always an immediate thought. And maybe Joe Flacco says, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm getting a shot here in New York. Darnold potentially has a broken wing. I don't know how he went back into that game. They had to inject him with something very serious.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It's AC joint, I guess. I don't know. I haven't heard the exact diagnosis. Looked terrible. Looked like he couldn't lift his arm there. But Joe Flacco, what if Joe gets hot and saves Adam Gase's fucking career over there for the Jets?
Flacco goes back, watches a little 2012 tape, sees something that he likes, from when he was younger, and all of a sudden the Jets are 1-3, 1-4.
Aaron Rodgers did it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why can't Flacco?
Yeah. Why can't Flacco?
Be careful of the footsteps, baby. They'll creep up on you.
Let's go to Keone in Pennsylvania. What's going on, Keone?
What's going on, Pat? Long-time listener. Glad to be finally on the show. Congrats on hitting 1 million followers. Happy to be one of the McAfee millions.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. Keone, is that your name? First time I've ever heard the name.
It's close. Keone. It's close.
Tione, okay, of course. Not Keone, Tione. All right. Tione, is that a Paisan, Tione? What is Tione?
No, it's actually Hawaiian.
Oh, Oos, what up, dog? What do you want to talk about, brother?
So I was calling in today originally to talk about, obviously, the situation going on with the Titans. Kind of got stepped on a little bit, a lot of callers, a lot of action going on in that subject. So I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit away from what my original question was, just to ask, with everything going on and a lot of chatter going on regarding what could potentially happen, how big of an impact is a statement like Jerry Jones put out, how he was basically calling for the Titans' head? How did that impact, potential penalties coming down the pike for Tennessee?
I didn't hear what Jerry Jones said, calling for their head. When did he say it? How did he say it? I love that Jerry Jones said something, and then we're talking about it because this is called obligatory cowboy talk that every sports show has to have, basically. What did he say?
So essentially, from the quick report that I read online, actually via Yahoo Sports, I believe, Jerry went on a local radio show, I believe, and said a comment that he was looking for the NFL and the NFLPA to really hammer down on punishment for them for breaking the COVID-19 protocol.
So that must mean that Jerry Jones believes that the players 100% or the staff can 100% control whether or not COVID comes into the building, right? Because Vrabel was like, we have no idea how this happened. The NFL and the NFLPA are studying it. And if the alleged stories coming out of New England are true, that could have been controllable. So I do believe that the mindset here is that people can control it. And if you don't control it, we will punish you. That's Jerry Jones' mindset. What Jerry Jones needs to know, though, like, hey, this could happen in your building here in a couple weeks, and you're listen, if the Titans players want to go fucking play pickup basketball whenever they're told that they can't be around each other, and if they feel that they have to work out to play football and they just can't sit and do some, well, shit, I think Bo Jackson, he did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups every day. You see him play, they can do that in their houses. They don't have to go out there. So if the Titans are the problem that the league is facing when it comes to the scheduling and, most importantly, the money we are making, I would like them to be kicked off the tour, Doug. Get them the fuck out of our National Football League. If that's what Jerry Jones said, I love Jerry Jones so much more now, because that could immediately happen to his team next week, and he would have to sit there and be like, what I didn't know at the time was that this thing just kind of comes out of nowhere every once in a while. I love it, because this is what we've been saying this entire time. It's like, if you call for massive punishment for the Titans, you have to know that this is potentially going to come back and bite you right in the ass, because it's going to happen to you potentially as well.
And it's very interesting because the Cowboys are potentially, 2 losses away from some of their guys maybe, not following the protocols as strict. I mean, you're looking at 1-5. That's a hell of a lot different than the Titans being 3-0.
Yeah, bingo. And if they go winning percentage, a lot of people said on the internet, the Titans just need to keep COVID all year. They have a very high win percentage right now, and they'll be the freshest team out there. What's up, Tiggs?
Yeah, Jerry said if they were found to be in violation of the protocols, there's got to be some heavy penalties for that, because that involves the lives of a lot of people. We've got to have discipline. I understand the discipline is there for a reason, and forgetting is not good enough, not remembering, or if this for that, it's not good enough.
Okay.
And Jerry speak.
Got it. And now and also he said, are we all perfect in how we're adhering to this? Of course we're not, but trying. Being on everybody's mind, this is going to make a difference, and I think it's going to make a difference in everybody in the NFL. The discipline. This is what I've heard, though, is they have 3 randoms walking around each facility, okay, writing down names, like hall monitors back in high school. If people are staying too close, hey, they look like they're laughing. Remember what laughing does to COVID. Don't fucking let them laugh. Write their name down. It's very interesting. All these protocols, all these rules, I think there's 2 very different styles of, like, ruling over people. Yeah. Right? Whenever you make more rules, normally not great for a certain genre of human, I believe there are. For instance, if I was in the league right now, boy, I would struggle mightily. It would be very difficult, especially in the facility. If you're getting tested every single day, okay, you're getting tested every single day. In the facility, in your meeting room, you have to sit 10 feet away or 6 feet away, and you have to have a mask on for the entire meeting and the whole thing and all day. And listen, I understand it's safe, but every human in there is supposed to be getting tested every single day. And if they're all negative, and now you got people walking around to make sure, is that mask above your nose? Is the mask below your chin? Can I see you smile? No, because you're not happy, and also because you're covering your fucking face. Okay. Doing that all day with the surveillance cameras being pulled by the NFL if they want it from inside the building and outside the building, like that, I think there's going to be some potential reverse course. But the NFL is probably like, we can't be fucking around anymore. We need this season to go off. There's a lot of money on the line, not only for us, but for you. It's just, I don't know if that's the right way to do it. I think there has to be an accountability thing, which is what Jerry Jones is talking about. Like, hey, you punish the Titans right now. Everybody's going to be on watch. Can't do it. But it's not just the players. Remember, the personnel got it over there in the Titans as well. And was that personnel that was only working with the players that had it? Maybe. Or did the personnel person get it? Or did an intern in the equipment room get it? Or in the training room? Or there is so many people that goes into this. It's like, could happen to anybody. We'll be excited to see how they figure it out. 28 minutes into hour 2 here. We'll get to a break, and on the other side, we got some more phone calls. Also, Shad Khan, owner of a pool paradise down there in Duval County, the Jacksonville Jaguars owner. He is selling his yacht. Ooh. Be on the lookout. $199 million.
Oh, okay.
eBay.
Yeah, thought about pulling the trigger.
That's a good deal, actually.
Howard Stern needs to buy that thing stacked. Shout out to Howard, by the way. Big congrats to him. Getting $120 million a year. Deserved, earned. Keep stacking, Howard. I can tell you this particular office loves what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
For people that talk into microphones for a living, Howard. We appreciate the hell out of you, and congratulations. And shout out to Sirius for having us on the platform. It's great to be back over here. This is Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 8th. We're back on the other side.
Week 4 is officially in the past, so let's get some Gumpy nukes to start off Week 5. 11 out of the 15 games this week, we're seeing teams favored by 6 points or more. This year, the team that's favored by 6 or more is covering 15, 10, and 1 against the spread. Now you know where I'm going next. It's the over-under stat of the day. The Vikings and Seahawks total is at 58 points. Since 2006, when the total is set at 57.5 or more, it's covered 7 out of 8 times. Add on to that these teams have hit the over in 6 out of 8 games this year. We'll be back tomorrow with more stats, more info, and a full Week 5 preview on Hammer. Dad! Cheers.
I think it's going to get a little bit better going forward because I think after 4 games we have a better idea about the teams because that's a large sample size, 1 quarter of the season. And these lines I think are reacting. Like these lines this week are incredible. I mean, do you see some of the highlights? I mean, Dallas is 1-3. They're a bad team, and I think they're a 9.5 point favorite going against the Giants on the early Monday line. So
that and the Texans. I think the Texans are a 7.5 point favorite, and they haven't won a game yet either.
I know, so it's great. So I think there's money to be made out there. Just like people, if they pay attention, they can make it.
You're talking about right now. You're saying let's go ahead and get going. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's some times where you want, like, look, if you would have taken that Washington line at 12.5 against Baltimore, on Monday, but once it got up to 14.5, you didn't get it anymore. So sometimes you got to take, like the Rams are a 9-point favorite against they come back and play Washington this week. So, that probably line will move to 10.5 before the week's out.
This is the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
Oh, no way. Sometimes you need a little Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam. I'm in my zone every day, every night.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Here, we're in our zone here, Thursday, October 8th. Uncle Sam and Twine here with a banger, obviously. Darius Butler will be joining us here in a matter of moments. I believe we're calling him right now. He will be giving us his lock for tonight's Thursday night football game between the Buccaneers and the Bears. Will Tom Brady have over or under a certain amount of passing yards? Or will it be Big Richard, Nick Foles' over under passing yards that he likes? Ladies and gentlemen, a man who played DB in the NFL for 9 years, host of the Man to Man podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Darius Butler.
What's up, fellas? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you over there. You're down in the studio. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you got old Jim Rome on in the background. Appreciate that. That means, jeez.
It's a bunch of cats on.
Yeah,
those guys.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, no big deal. Jim Rome, legend in our eyes as well. We'd be watching him if we weren't doing our show. I'm not telling others to do so. If you like watching the show, fuck it, stay here. But but tonight, Thursday night football. Obviously, you've been hot. You've only got one wrong, and it was for Darnold last week, and he covered by 1.5 yards in kind of late, and then they ran the ball the entire time. Tonight, Tom Brady, the GOAT, takes on Big Richard, Nick Foles. How do you see this one playing out in the pass game for both of these teams?
Man, you know what? I like Tom tonight. Okay. I like Tom tonight, especially going up against Foles, because he's real chapped in the ass from what happened in the Super Bowl. Still, you don't forget that. He's the old Mel Arya Stark, but his weapons are banged up, man. His weapons are banged up. If Mike Evans can go tonight, he'll be a game time decision. Pretty much got that pregame workout. If he can go, I'm taking it over for sure. But if he's not out there, I got to go with the under. So it's kind of, it's here. So I don't know. What is that, a hammer? Is that still a hammer?
No, it's not a hammer. That's
where they got to be real, man, because very tough defense. The only way he gets over 260, I think, is what Mike Evans out there. Mike Evans, he thugged it out through that ankle injury last week. Went out there and balled, but without him, I don't think they hit over the 260.
So it's a tentative hammer, more so a lean right now at this point. But we will not bring out the hammer to hammer that one. The thing about Mike Evans, I think there's no way he plays. Now, I don't think so. Did you watch him last week? And I assumed that they were just going to make his whole ankle numb, but that's hard to do because you got a lot of weight on there. Whenever he came back out, it looked very, I don't want to say lame, but that's a way to describe a bum wheel there. He looked lame on that thing on a very regular, and just 4 days later, at that point, I assume he had some sort of anti-inflammatory in his system. He had a bunch of, obviously, the emotion of the game and adrenaline and everything like that. I just assume with 4 days, there's no way with how he looked. But Mike Evans is Superman-like. Maybe the ankle just says, "No, we're fucking cool."
I was with you. I didn't think he would even finish last game. But for him to even be going out there and doing a pregame workout lets me know that he's close at least. So with the other guys banged up, I know he feels like that. I got to be out there for my guy because Godwin's out. Fournette's out, Shady's out. They lost O.J. Howard for the season. So, they're pretty good. It's going to be a tough division to win, obviously. So I think he's going to do everything possible. They'll have a better plan, I think, medication-wise going into it, because now you kind of have a plan going into it as opposed to trying to figure something out and just get him back out there as soon as possible. So I'm pulling for him to go tonight, man. I think with it even being close and him even giving it a try, I'm pulling for him.
Okay, so whatever he is to pass 70, 80, 65% with Mike Evans, Tom Brady over there, 262.5 against his Bears defense. James Jones, former wide receiver for the Packers, he came on here and was saying a bunch of things that I did not expect him to say. He was talking about
pick those Bears.
Did you hear that? He loves the Bears tonight. He thinks they win by 14, 31-17. He also thinks that defense, Chicago Bears defense, in prime time, getting a chance to put on a show. They got some big name marquee players over there. He thinks that they're going to give Tom Brady massive amounts of problems tonight. Do you see it the same way, or what do you?
Tom, he's got a young tackle out there. He's got a young tackle out there. He did a pretty good job against Bosa last week, but that Khalil Mack he's a beast. So got Kyle Fuller. You definitely got playmakers. You got old Chucky P calling the shots over there on the defensive side of the ball. But on a short week, Foles going into his. I'm still taking Brady to win the game. Brady's undefeated in Thursday Night Football. I think 7-0. So I'm riding with the old man to win the game. I definitely, even if the Bears do edge it, I definitely don't think they win by 2 scores. But the Bucs are banged up, and if Mike Evans isn't out there, now you can kind of talk about that. But like I said, I think Mike Evans is going to go. But we'll see. But Jay, he sound confident. He almost got me over there. I'm going with the Bucs. I'm going with the Bucs.
Hey, Meats, I already placed my bet earlier this morning while I was taking my morning grumpy on the Bucs, and then I heard him talking, and I was like, man, this son of a bitch is making some points here. I mean, what's
the spread right now?
3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Bears way?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 5.5 earlier in the week.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I mean, depending upon Bears' way, Bears are not favored. No, the Bears are getting 3.5 points, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are not favored. They're underdog. But let's talk about that defense you just talked about with Khalil Mack and them in Chicago. Chuck Pagano is their defense coordinator, a guy you and I both know very well. What is he saying on a short week going against Tom Brady in his? What do you think Chuck Pagano's message to the Chicago Bears defense is?
Getting after the quarterback, first and foremost, up in the middle of the pocket. That's how you affect the Brady. That's the only way you can affect him is getting penetration up in the middle of the pocket. And his name is slipping my mind right now, but 96 for the Bears does a great job of that. Obviously, Khalil Mack, he doesn't have a bunch of sacks this year, but he's still getting after the passer at a very, very high rate. I think he's like 3rd or 4th as far as pressures. And that defense as a whole, they're top 3 with the passer rating versus quarterbacks. So versus quarterbacks this year. So that's the only way you affect Tom is getting pressure in the middle, having tight coverage. Kyle Fuller is actually one of the better corners in this league, but he tends to play a lot of off, and I think that's good for him. That'll be a good matchup for him if he's out Evans. But young boy Jalen Johnson has been balling this year. He's been playing above his draft status, I think, playing like a first rounder. So they got all the pieces. I still think Tom, gets the edge, but Chuck's got his players over there. He's got his scheme. And he's calling a hell of a defense this year, so they definitely got a chance. I just don't think their offense is good enough to put those points up.
I talked on numerous occasions with Chuck, whether it was in the building and we both had nothing going on at the time or away from the building, and I asked him about being a head coach, and he said, the thing he doesn't like is he doesn't get to coach much anymore, right? Because the defensive coordinator takes over the defense. You have each individual positional group, and then the offense coordinator and the entire offense. I think he missed the being in the meeting, the working down on being able to spend the time on working on technique with somebody or giving them a mindset. At the end of his head coaching career, though, if I do recall, when he was with the Colts, he started doing that a little bit more, and I think it was in the DB room. He started coming in and maybe coaching a little bit more. Am I wrong in saying that, or is?
Yeah, he definitely did, and I had those same conversations with him because Chuck he's been a secondary guy his whole career, and then going over obviously having great success with the Baltimore defense, and then coming over to the Colts and kind of revamping. Colts was traditionally 4-3, kind of a cover 2 type defense, and he just kind of trying to turn over a roster and figure all that out, and like you said, not being as hands on. He missed it a lot. He was like, man, I'm tired of picking out, what food we have at the hotel. I want to call defense. And so, now that he's out there and he has the roster intact, he came into a locker room with a great defense intact. So I feel like he's in his happy place right now, and they're playing like it. They're playing well. I'm happy for him. He's healthy. He's feeling good. I talked to him a few weeks ago, but I'm excited to watch those guys play. It'll be a good game, but I'm still going with those.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to talk yourself out of it there while you're doing it.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to let James Jones. I'm not going to let Chucky P. I'm sticking with it.
Here's an update from Rick Stroud, our guy down at the Tampa Bay. Bucs are expecting wide receiver Scotty Miller hip and groin to play, which is big for Tom. And they're pretty optimistic that wide receiver Mike Evans' ankle will go as well, both listed as questionable. Evans hasn't run, but will test it. Okay. All right. So what if Scotty Miller's in and not Mike Evans? Still not a hammer?
No, still not a hammer. I mean,
Scotty, you are underestimating Scotty.
No, I love Scotty.
Doesn't sound like.
But Scotty needs Mike Evans. Scotty can't be the guy. He can't be the top guy. Come on now. And I'm not trotting Scotty Miller out there. That's the hammer, not my hammer.
Chance.
Well, it's not like Scotty doesn't know, okay? Scotty knows that he needs other people out there. Let's talk about the DB community, okay? I would assume that the defensive back community has felt a particular way for a long time, okay? I would assume that a lot of DBs, if they're being asked to play a lot of plays because the offense is either turning the ball over quickly or playing a style of offense that doesn't eat up a lot of the clock or whatever, and you're being asked to put on the field for 70 plays. Let's say 70 plays. Okay, that'll be the random number that I just threw out. It'll be 70 plays.
Good number.
I assume,
Been hearing that number a lot.
Yeah, just 70 plays. I would assume that there has been 90% of defensive backs who at one point in their mind have thought, I don't know how y'all motherfuckers want us to run with these wide receivers at full speed, reacting to people. We don't know where they're going. It is going to be tiring for us. We have to run all over the field. I don't know how you guys expect us to do it for 70 plays, but hey, we'll do it, right? We get to be here. We don't have to be here. I assume that thought has crossed 90% of defensive backs' minds at some point or another whenever they were being told that they're not playing up to the par that they should be. I would assume that has happened. Xavier Woods, Dallas Cowboys safety, who was drafted in the 6th round and has started a bunch of games. So he's not like he's a lazy. This is a go-getter, a man who was he's outplayed his draft score and everything like that. He comes out this morning and basically says it's the NFL. You can't expect guys to go full speed for 70 plays. It's just not possible, right? And the immediate reaction is obviously like, oh, shut the fuck up. You can't say that. But I would assume this is something that a lot of people have thought, just have never said out loud. Being a guy who's been in the NFL and in the secondary for 9 years and now is basically running the best secondary podcast I've ever heard in the Man-to-Man podcast. Is this a normal... Is this a normal thought, just not something you say it in your inside voice?
Say out loud.
Yeah.
you know, that's the conversation amongst DBs, amongst other football players maybe, but you can't have that conversation out loud. You damn sure can't do it in a press conference after giving up 1,000 yards against the Browns. So what he was saying, I think, has definitely been taken out of context. He said, I think to quote him, he said full speed. You can't go full speed for 70 plays, which is true. It's impossible. So the offense, D linemen, receivers, running backs, those guys can hit the helmet a couple of times to get a breather here and there. DBs, we don't come off the field. Corners, safeties, you don't come off the field. So you're playing however many snaps straight. And you do kind of have to pace yourself. Now you can't loaf. You still give full effort, but to expect somebody, every play, to just run full speed, you'll be dead after, the second quarter if you make it that far. So I understood what he was saying. Just not the time, damn sure not the place. But I understood what he was saying. Effort, and to talk about the Cowboys real quick, the effort is probably 3rd or 4th on that list that they should be worried about. It's really communication, knowing what the hell they're doing. That was their biggest issue. That's been their biggest issue this year. It's not effort. I think their effort is pretty much on par with the rest of the NFL. I think the other things is what they really need to focus on.
So what you're saying is people are probably saying right now that, well, that's why you guys are losing because you can't give effort on every play. It's like, well, that happens everywhere. But
exactly, yes.
If he elaborates on that, by the way, probably a great answer like what you just did there. That would have been one of the greatest press conference answers maybe in the history of secondary. If he just says, imagine if that guy asked that question and he says that and he goes, well, it's just, in the secondary, I don't know if you know this guy that writes things on your little fucking thing there, but we never get a break, okay? We're in every single – so we got to figure out – we're like soccer players back there who have to be more athletic than everybody else. We never come off the field, so we have to pace ourselves. So asking us to go full speed 70 plays is something that just doesn't happen anywhere, let alone in this particular place. But we do understand that we have to get better in a couple other things. Like that answer would have been, the greatest answer of all time.
It is what it is. You gotta understand that. And some offense used to actually just trot, bums out there to just run a couple go routes and just tire out a good corner.
Smart.
And then you bring old Scotty Miller in the game.
Yeah, because you were gonna say they bring Scotty in the trot, but you held back because you respect the Scotty Miller.
I respect the guy. He's playing through a hip growing, tough guy. Big Scotty guy. Okay,
so we got a lockdown corner over here. All right, what are we gonna do? Well, we'll bring in 4 tight ends, 1 running back, and then we'll just put 1 out wide that person has to cover. And it'll be, hey, McAfee, can you give 1 go route? Yep. All right, we'll just get, hey, over.
They'll put like a Matt Slater out there who you know is just going to kick your ass all day on special teams. But, yeah, go out there and run a 4-3 a couple times. Let's tire out old Xavier Woods back there.
Oh, man, that is so smart. And that's a game that's happening that nobody even talks about. And Would never even think of
gamesmanship.
Oh, a little game. Love it, by the way. I like that a lot. What's up, Dix?
Question for both of you. If you were a team and you have the reigning NFL MVP quarterback and he runs a good bit and he just missed his second day of practice with a knee injury, would that be worrisome to you guys? Because Lamar Jackson just missed his second day of practice.
Okay, so it just came out that he's missed his second practice here. They said it was for precautionary reasons, and maybe they are just precautionary, holding him back, getting him as much rehab as possible. But I guess we have to find out what they do with him on game day. If game day comes out that he's questionable or something, then we know that they're lying. That's not precautionary reasons. But yes, whenever his mobility is a massive part of his game, which they find out. Yeah. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a rather large deal for the Baltimore Ravens, I think, but we don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Precautionary, I'm not buying that. There's definitely an injury there, obviously, or he would be out there. Because quarterbacks, reps. You need reps, as many as you can get. And the style of play, just like Pat said, the style of play that he plays, if his knee's banged up in week 5 and we're already, he's missing a couple of days of practice, because Wednesday, Thursday, those are the big days. Those are that's where you put the most of your work in as far as practice goes. So I would definitely be concerned if I'm his teammate. And if I'm playing against him, I want to know which knee.
Whoa!
Whoa! It's very real. I'm not going to give you bullshit answers.
And that is obviously because if it's his left knee, well, he's probably going to run to the right because he's be cutting off his right leg more. That's why you meant that, right? That is.
No, I want to know which one to hit.
I thought you meant because of cutting.
No, but that's a part of it though. Everybody.
Yeah.
Coach will come in there and be like, hey, scout report. Injury report. Lamar Jackson, he's got a left knee this week. Just making sure guys know. So it's on that coach. It's on them to protect him. Once he's out there, he's out there. So we're just doing our job.
That makes me think of the incredible story, and I think it was against the Atlanta Falcons on "Do Your Job," the documentary. It was either Belichick or somebody else. I forget, maybe who was the defense coordinator? I forget who it was. Somebody in the Do Your Job documentary said, we were noticing something about Julio Jones when he was cutting routes to his left. We thought something was maybe wrong with his foot or something like that. And they watched the film and they're like, he has a hurt foot. So they thought there was no way he would run certain routes or something like that because he would run them differently. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, see, everybody talks about the deflated ball and all that shit, but that right there is why the Patriots are the Patriots right there. That type of stuff. Yeah. Injuries are a big deal because if somebody can't it's a huge deal. And that's why at the end of the season, if you're healthy, you have a great shot at going somewhere. And if not, you do not. Last question before I let you go, D-Bud. I can't thank you enough for joining us here on this Thursday, October 8th. The Titans have another positive case, okay? Their game against the Bills is probably going to get delayed to Monday or Tuesday if no other positives come back. Then the Thursday night game next week of the Bills and the Chiefs would have to move until Saturday night, which would be awesome for everybody. But how long do you think they can continue to do this? It feels like it's inevitable that they're going to have to add a week at the end of the season to kind of make up some of these games that are going to happen.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of us were skeptical coming into the season. They did great in training camp, but as you know, once training camp's over, people living their normal lives. More than they are in training camp. But these tests, man, they keep popping up, and I don't know if they're probably gonna have to forfeit, and I will be pissed off if this game is forfeited and I'm not getting paid, especially if I'm the other team.
Oh yeah.
Now, if I'm on the Titans. And we got to miss a game, and they got to get pushed back or this, that, and the third. Because at some point, I don't know if they can add, if they can add games at the end and all that. I don't know if that'll happen. But I saw you said possibly some breaking news coming from the commission. That happened yet? Did they say that?
No, I'm saying that's going to come next week. That's going to happen next week. I think it was.
Okay.
It was a little future breaking news that I'm predicting.
Okay.
They're going to have.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They should have shortened the season coming into it, man. They kind of blew it, shortened it, spread it out for these cases. Because now I just feel like I hope. I know you're a positive thinking guy. I know you're very optimistic, but I just hope this isn't the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, D-Bud. Stop.
I'm just hoping. Yeah. I'm not saying it is.
All right.
Hoping it's not.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a man who has been very hot with his hammer. Tonight is a tentative hammer on the Tom Brady over if Mike Evans plays. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Man to Man Pod, Darius Butler.
Yeah, D-Bud.
Thank you, D-Bud. Yeah, I would like to know what knee is hurt.
Genius. It's real.
Guys are going to do, I mean, that is something that obviously is something that it does happen, right? They're not trying to hurt him, but if you are tackling him from one particular side, maybe the thought is, here we go. Or maybe they are. I mean, I don't know. I've never had that. I didn't know a scouting report on injuries. I just wanted to know if a guy could catch a high ball or not. That's all I wanted to know.
Yep.
Can he catch a high ball? Nope. Okay, cool. Let's hang one and see if we can get a turnover. That'd be cool. We did that against a team that is represented in this room.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
Steelers? No, I don't know. I'm not going to say that.
Seemed like it might have been.
No. I was just figuring out whether or not I wanted to say. Let's go to Tom in Pittsburgh. By the way, Tom, what's going on?
Oh, by the way.
Ironic.
Not much, guys. How are you?
Everything's good, brother. What do you want to talk about?
I was hoping to talk some action with you guys today, actually.
Right.
As a former Action Zip, or Akron Zip, you got all these guys coming out of the MAC.
Oh, man.
Big Ben, AB, Jules Edelman, James Harrison. The list goes on. Guys that can just take over games. Do they get the love that they deserve across the league? Because I know they don't get it on game day and stuff like that.
Well, they don't get it on game day because obviously a MAC team hasn't been in contention in a long time for obvious reasons. And I love Tuesday night action. I think it's a great thing.
Yes,
but this guy just tried to fucking sabotage our show.
Come on.
It was a good effort.
It was a very good effort what he just did right there. Because I love MAC football.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. But it turns out not a lot of people do, is what we've been told by a lot of folks. Like, hey, whenever you talk about said thing here, it's potentially going to crumble down into nothing. Those people ain't got no juice or whatever. No, I like MACtion, dude. I like MACtion. In J.J. Watt, I don't know if we would have known J.J. Watt was going to dominate in the NFL whenever he was at Central Michigan or whatever it was for the game day folks. I would assume they didn't know that, so they didn't cover J.J. Watt then or whatever.
Antonio Brown.
The same exact thing. And I think they both get a lot of credit, by the way. J.J. Watt just allegedly got a coach fired potentially. So I think.
I mean, Roethlisberger, Action All-Star.
Come on.
Now, he's a guy that.
Khalil Mack tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of superstars out of the MAC. Like, we have a lot of respect. But what about the Big East, bro? I played in the fucking Big East. They got rid of the entire conference. How about that? So it's going to be hard for me to show you any pity at all. Big East has just weapon on top of weapon on top of weapon out there. And it obviously got rid of. So, no. How about that?
Take that.
When Tuesday night action starts, though, if it is happening,
it is.
It'll be great.
It is.
We will talk about it.
They're not playing on in I believe October, November. They're not playing on Saturdays. They're playing all their games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, smart.
Big.
Oh, yeah. See, so we will talk action until we watch the numbers go down to 0.
Which will inevitably happen.
Which will inevitably happen. Hour 3 is on the other side. We got Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston joining us. Before the season said that the New England Patriots are going to stink, basically. He was at training camp watching the team, and he actually asked to cradle Connor's face and let him know that the team stinks and it's not his fault, basically, because Connor was very optimistic about the team, as were we all, but he was not. Has he changed his stance after what has happened? Even though the two best players currently have the coronavirus, has he changed his stance on this team potentially making a run? We'll talk to him. He is a lightning rod when he comes on this show.
I love Tommy.
If you don't know who Tom E. Curran is, just wait. It will be magical. AJ Hawk, the Crimson Chin, will also be on the other side, and more of your phone calls. This is Thursday, October 8th, the Pat McAfee Show, right here on Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports. JT the Brick, Sirius XM. Let me tell you a little story about these statistics. Troy Polamalu, okay? Fucking Troy Polamalu. So we had a fake for the Pittsburgh Steelers that was a 100%er. We didn't even have a cancel the goddamn play because it was a 100%er. If we ever end up in this situation, inside the 7-yard line on the left hash, it is a 100%er that the C gap will be wide open and we will just part the C to the left. It'll be a touchdown. 100%er. We're playing in Pittsburgh, the city I grew up in. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I won the punt, pass, and kick national championship, AJ. National championship, AJ.
Congrats.
AJ, did you ever win the national championship, punt, pass, and kick?
I think I got 3rd or 4th out of 4 at the Nationals.
I'm proud of you, man. Anyways, so we're there in that stadium, okay? A lot of McAfee's in there. A lot of McAfee's in Pittsburgh. I'm going to score my first fucking touchdown, night game, Sunday Night Football, I believe it was, right here, touchdown. We get into that situation, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is really going to happen. We're like on the 6 on the left hash. It's 4th and goal now. Field goal team's jogging on. I'm like, well, fuck, it's about to. I'm ready. I am ready for this to happen. So I get out there. I get down. Vinny's like happy for me. Vinny's like very excited. He's like, let's fucking go. Like Vinny's excited for me at this moment. I'm like, here we go. So I make the call. I forget what it was. So I start saying it, right? And everybody's looking at me like, okay, bright eyes. Here we go. Let's get after it. Offensive linemen are dead ass tired. They do not want to be in the middle of a field goal anyways. So they're just like, all right, I don't give a fuck if you die here, but this should work. Let's get some points. And all of a sudden, I go through my cadence, I call it, I get down, and Troy Polamalu's fucking ass goes ahead for however long his career was at this point. I think it was like 9 years or 8 years at this point. Not a once has he ever gone to this side of the field over here to the left and stood right in the C gap. Never. He lined up exactly where he had lined in film 100% of the time. And then as soon as I got to like the second cadence right before set, he just bounced his little ass right over to the C gap. And I like stopped everything I was doing and I literally just looked at him. And I gave him like a, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why are you there right now? And then I stood up and said, we are kicking it. We don't have it. We have to kick it. We are kicking this. And then I get down, and Vinatieri kicks it, and I jog off the field. And Chuck Pagano comes running up next to me. He's like, hey, good job. What'd you see? I said, what did I see? Polamalu just fucking went right into the goddamn C gap. What did I see? What did I see? And he goes, okay, sounds good. Good call then. And good call then. And then Vinatieri's like, hey, way to go, buddy. I'm like, way to go? Are we not going to talk about how big of a fucking asshole Troy Polamalu is for what just happened right there? So that's...
I saw the angel of death waiting for me in the C gap.
It's unbelievable. What, you thought I was going to run him over? No way. He's probably going to strip me and score a touchdown the other fucking. That's Polamalu, bro. That ain't just your backyard football with your son. These are professional fucking athletes. He'd probably jump over the lineman, pick me up, and run me into the other fucking end zone if he wanted to. That's what he would have done.
The hard-hitting safety of his generation, too. I mean, Ed Reed, great cover safety. I don't know that you would have feared him, but
Ed Reed, I would have feared Ed Reed. Yeah, if I saw Ed Reed in that C gap, absolutely. E.D. Reed, boy, the best safety you ever seen, boy. I ain't doing shit to Ed Reed.
No, Ed Reed would have made the tackle. I'm saying that Polamalu would have shaved years off your life.
Oh, my God.
Aaron today said that basically Scott Stapp launched the career for Aaron Rodgers. And Scott Stapp then replied to Pat's tweet about it. So basically, Scott Stapp is now in our lives.
Yes!
Woo!
Well, I just heard the news today. It seems my life is going to change. I take it on. I'll take them out my side. I'm hearing on and how my day with arms wide open.
That's incredible.
Boys, we did it.
Hey, let's welcome him with arms wide open.
We do. Scott Stapp, this is an open invitation. Whenever you want to come in, please.
We love you, Scott.
We love you, Scott.
Love you, buddy.
We love you, Scott.
The Pat McAfee Show.
Welcome back. It is 2 minutes into the third hour right here. We're being joined right now by a man. I'm not sure how many of these humans exist. I bet you he could probably tell us. He was a national champion in college football with the Ohio State. He was a Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers. And he retired Kirk Herbstreit at the age of 12. Ladies and gentlemen, A.J. Hawk. Bingo.
I mean, I wouldn't say age of 12. I think I was 14 when I had the scrimmage against Kirk.
So you get it. You didn't have any hair on your face at all, and you broke Kirk Herbstreit's jaw because he's a stupid TV guy that tried to try you as
30 years old.
You know, right?
No. I mean, sure. In your mind, yes, that is your truth.
What is that?
I wasn't there. I just heard the story from others that were there, and I was told that exact quote right there, including from the guy that got his jaw broken by said 14-year-old Crimson Chin, who was in full pads playing against an adult man who was Mr. TV guy in his eyes.
Yeah, you know, like, guess what Kirk was trying to do? Kirk was trying to break my jaw.
Kirk hates kids? Kirk hates kids? Is that what you're saying right now?
When you're scrimmaging against a bunch of 30-year-olds and you're 14, 15-year-olds, guess what you're doing? Like, who has the upper hand? The old established gentleman, I think.
I think everybody's losers in that situation. But let's talk about Darius Butler just said, it'd be hard to get me as a 33-year-old to go play against some high school kids.
Yeah. You got extra pads?
Get one little kid to pop off. It'd be very difficult not to just, am I supposed to hit this kid? It's like the beginning of that Cobra Kai show.
Yeah.
Oh.
The reason why I had a problem with it is because the guy that lost to Karate Kid, whatever,
Johnny Lawrence, yep.
he beats up a bunch of high school kids. And like the first scene, they're like, this is to prove that he's still got it. I'm like, you just beat up a bunch of high school kids. Well, the high school kids were terrible. I mean, let's not get mistaken.
Oh, they were beating up another little kid. He was helping him out.
Yeah, but you saved the kid. You don't have to beat. I don't know. And now you're sticking. They were trying to paint the picture that he was a bad guy, and there's Nick. Like,
You're telling me you never wanted to punch a teenager right in the mouth?
I don't interact with teenagers enough to know whether or not I want to punch them in the mouth, but I would assume that if I was around them on a regular basis, I would, and that's why I keep myself away from those situations. I just don't. Anyways, way to go with Kirk Herbstreit. Did you hear Darius Butler earlier? And we got Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston, joining us here in like a moment or two, but I want to get your take on this really quickly before we get to Tom. Darius Butler, last hour, we told him Lamar Jackson was out for 2 days now, 2 consecutive days with a knee injury that was precautionary, blah, blah, blah. Darius said, if I was playing against the Ravens, I would definitely be like, okay, is this precautionary, is he hurt? And then I would also want to know which knee is potentially injured. And he said, obviously, not because of him cutting. It's like, no, I would like to know which knee is potentially a weak spot on Lamar Jackson. That is a very common thought, I'd assume, around NFL defenses, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Same thing if someone rolls an ankle and they want to get like the right ankle spatted. A lot of times the trainers just do both, so people don't really know which ankle it is.
Oh, because if you show any weakness, it's going to be attacked. It can't be a target. You basically become a big target. That's why Big Ben, it's been said that he puts the walking boot on the foot that isn't hurt.
Correct.
And he actually just wears a shoe on the other one, just to kind of keep everybody guessing. You know what I mean, AJ?
It's a smart move. I give Ben credit. That's why he has such longevity in the league.
Ladies and gentlemen joining us, why would you try to hurt them? Yeah, is that why? Because if their ankle's hurt.
You want to know. I think I heard you say something to Darius, didn't you, about how they were watching like Julio. They said he can't cut a certain way, like depending on how he was hurt. I think that's more of what you want to know.
Okay. Well, that's not what it sounded like. I'd like it to be known, but I assume that's what he meant as well. There's a lot of pieces that go into it. The game's complicated. So are humans. Anyways, joining us now is a man who works for NBC Sports Boston. He's a New England Patriot, genius, I guess. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. A lightning wrong, an electric human being. The last time he was on the show, he wanted to cradle Boston Connor's face and let him know that this is potentially going to be a rough year for the New England Patriots after what he saw in training camp. It has turned out to be a little bit different, even though 2 of their best players currently have COVID. We'll get his thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom E. Curran.
Hey, is that AJ?
Yeah.
Nice.
What's up, Tom?
Hey, one really interesting thing on that Darius Butler thing, and I think you just mentioned it with Julio Jones. When you watch that Do Your Job documentary the Patriots had after they won the Super Bowl playing Atlanta, they were all keyed in on which ankle it was that he had injured because of his inability to cut one way or the other on his routes. So I think that's part of it, too. Yeah, maybe they might give it a little extra twist. But I think with these guys, at least Darius, who was with the Patriots, you might want to go to school on where he can and can't really cut.
Yeah, and by the way, Tom, I know you weren't watching the show, but I immediately went to that reference because the Do Your Job document, immediately, because the Do Your Job documentary made me automatically go, oh, everybody always says the deflated ball, the this, the that, but that particular moment right there there is like, that is why the Patriots are the Patriots. And let's talk about that being why the Patriots are the Patriots. Coming into this season, you were on a lake, okay? There was boats. I think you had 2 pontoons out there.
Yep.
You were about ready to have you still are. Okay, still at the lake house. You were about to have a weekend. I think you had a tank top on. I mean, you were like, hey, listen, Boston Connor, I'm sorry, bud. After watching training camp, this team stinks. You actually said there's no cavalry coming over the hill in October if they start slow. They have not started slow. Have you changed your thoughts on this team, how great they're going to be? And obviously this has been surprising. Why do you think they've shocked you so much?
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. Yeah, they've stunned me. Sometimes you want to chalk it up to the other teams not playing well and saying, well, the Patriots are just more prepared. There's no reason for them to have 8 opt-outs, including Chung and Hightower, and to have all those guys additionally along the offensive line. There's unbelievable turnover in the offensive line, and they're still churning out 200-plus games on the ground. Cam Newton has been everything you could possibly want as a leader, and you're not going to find a bigger Brady fan, and I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. Boston Connor is too. Than I am, but I think that new broom sweeps clean feeling is present here, and they're building towards something as opposed to being like, well, let's see what we can get out of this one more year with Tom and see how it goes. So all of those things are working in their favor, except for the virus.
Tom, you say they're building towards something, but would you call it a rebuilding process?
Oh,
yeah, it is 100% a rebuilding process, and from what we saw the other day, AJ. Certainly, I think Cam Newton has given them a stay of, or at least a temporary postponement of having to face the quarterback situation and really the wide receiver situation too, because he's changed the equation offensively so that it's 11 on 11 and it doesn't really highlight some of the shortcomings they have. But I do think it's a rebuilding situation. They are answering the bell this year in a lot of key positions that are rebuilding, but they're still going to have that hanging out there at the quarterback spot. Who is it going to be? And if Cam can't go, we're going to get a glimpse on Sunday, if they play the game, as to what their plan was. And we saw what their plan was on Monday. It's either Hoyer or Stidham. There was nothing else when I talked about the cavalry, Connor. I mean, it's uncomfortable to watch.
It was kind of uncomfortable to watch, and I think a lot of people kind of chalked it up. By the way, when you said that, so Boston, it was awesome. It was just so awesome. Potentially chalked it up to having to travel day of game. You're out your best player. You're out your blah, 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 and all that stuff. But what you're saying is what you noticed was there isn't a lot of depth in a lot of different positions here, and this could get ugly fast, and winning cures all. And if you say it's a rebuilding season, are they rebuilding for a different future without Cam Newton, you think? Or it feels like from the outside looking in, everybody in the New England Patriots world wants Cam Newton to stick around, I'd assume, at this point?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, again, everything's changed. It's fluid. I think if you're going to get the same returns of from a 33-year-old Cam Newton that you're getting from a 32-year-old Cam Newton, you'd say, yeah, this is great. Let's go ahead and do it.
Oh.
So that's where the situation is fluid. If he gets injured, which he has been prone to do in the past, what's it look like? How does the team look? How does that wide receiver core look, which is dealing with a banged-up Julian Edelman right now and developing N'Keal Harry, and that's about it. The tight end group still is virtually non-existent. So it is a rebuild. I'm not saying that – I don't think Cam's going to be gone long. The possibility exists that he plays on Sunday. Is my feed really crappy?
No, you're good. I mean, it is kind of crappy, but we can hear you and you look good, so don't even worry about it.
All right. But I think he's going to play on Sunday. What the decision has to be made is, do the Patriots convince him to stay for less, or do they say, okay, we'll pay the going rate for a quarterback, which is approaching $27, $28, $30 million a year? Because Cam might be saying to himself, you got me for $1 million last year. You're not going to lowball me now.
Tom, what about some of their assistant coaches, and obviously Josh McDaniels? We know he had the coach job for 12 seconds before he turned around and came home. Could you see him taking off after this season with all the openings that are possibly going to be out there?
100%, especially if Thomas Dimitroff is still in Atlanta and Matt Ryan is still in Atlanta. That'd be a promising location. Of course, we'll have to see whether or not Houston wants to re-up and do Patriots South 2.0 with Josh. But I know that Jack Easterby is someone who Josh is familiar with. I'm not sure what the mobility of Nick Caserio is as their GM. He's still not a technical GM. Have they constrained him with his new contract from taking a GM job elsewhere? one interesting thing, AJ, I don't know if Jed Fish moved through Green Bay while you were there or not. He's been in a lot of different spots, but he's the guy that they brought in kind of to apprentice under McDaniels, almost, I think, in anticipation that at some point Josh is going elsewhere.
The Colts, probably, yeah. The Colts.
Probably right a bit.
Yeah, Colts.
Yeah, is that funny, Tom? He was on the plane. He turned the son of a bitch around. The Colts. Oh, I was invited to the press conference. I was on my way to the press conference to ask Josh McDaniels a question, and they're like, everything's been canceled. I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden,
you ever see the movie? What the hell was that? Midnight Run?
Mm-hmm.
He did the whole Charles Grodin thing. I can't fly. Jack, I can't fly. Never mind. You guys didn't see the movie.
No, that's great. Midnight Run, is that about the people that escaped jail?
Yeah, kind of.
That is about the bail bonds guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. It's locked up abroad.
Basically.
Pretty close.
Yeah. I said it. Go ahead.
Mr. Curran, I have two questions for you. One, if Cam can't play, is Stidham going to start or is Hoyer going to start? And two, will you ever doubt Bill Belichick again?
Great question.
Yeah, I will doubt there are components of his decision-making that I'll doubt. I mean, you had opportunities over the last 5 years to populate the tight end position, but you didn't do it. I doubt that that's really a great idea. Same thing with wide receiver. But overall, in having a team prepared, ready, resilient, and able to answer the bell even when they make you fly out the morning after having your nose swabbed, get on a bus, get on a plane, get on a bus, go to a hotel, get on a bus, go to a game, be competitive, get on a bus, come home again. I mean, they're astounding in their mental toughness. So sometimes there are aspects of him that are not infallible, but in terms of getting a team ready to play a friggin' football game, unparalleled.
Yeah.
As for this week, you tell me, fellas, they still haven't had a real practice with either of these guys taking real reps.
It's not
so
good.
Wouldn't the safe thing be to just have Hoyer in and then give him the hook?
Feels like that's probably what they'll do because they made a game plan last week for him. They were able to walk through it a little bit, practice it. I guess they're on that extra day that they had, but he is the veteran, knows more. I thought Stidham didn't look that bad. And obviously the Julian Edelman pick wasn't his fault. Maybe another one. I thought he looked athletic. But is now the time to make a change whenever you haven't had a practice to a young quarterback that has only thrown pick sixes, it feels like, in his entire career? Is now the time to make him the starter? I don't know. That is why Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick, though. They might have both of them in every single play.
Does the defensive player care, AJ?
Who the quarterback is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want the guy who plays better. You want him in.
So you're sitting there and you're like, okay, it's the new kid who's barely peed a drop in the league, or it's the old guy who might not have it anymore, but at least he's played some games.
Might.
What would you want?
I guess I bet the team is split. Usually when there's like a quarterback situation like that, the team is kind of split. The receivers usually like one guy. The defense likes another guy. I don't know. In between those two, I feel like it's pretty close, too. Like, one doesn't stand out. So it's a very difficult decision.
And if you're on the other team, AJ, I would assume that you would want the guy that you have more film of than the guy you don't have a lot of film of, because they seem to be pretty similar in their playing styles. Is that right in your guesstimation?
Yeah, maybe. But also, if you don't have a bunch of film on the guy doesn't have a bunch of film on you. Like, he doesn't know as much. He probably obviously hasn't had as many reps in the NFL. You would hope you could take advantage of some of that inexperience. But, yeah, who knows, man? Like, you've seen guys that come out and have their first start ever and light him up for 350 and 3 touchdowns. And you're like, okay, where'd this guy come from? And then he's never heard from again. Like, that happens.
Were you surprised? I'm sorry, Tom. Were you
no, my bad. It's your show. But it's like Rippon last week.
That's a great question.
Good, then not good. And that could be a Stidham situation. I mean, there could be a lot of offensive linemen making tackles this week.
Jesus. Tom, were you surprised to see Mohamed Sanu let go of the San Francisco 49ers? You were not banging the drum of him looking good as a Patriot earlier this year coming out of training camp.
The Niners let him go? I'm sorry. Did that just...
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Oh, jeez. Punch in, Tom. Christ. It's been a week up here with the COVID. No, I'm not surprised. He wasn't very fast anymore. So, no. But thank you for recalling that I did get one right.
Yeah, you did get that right. It was just very nice, Tom. Every time you come on, we love you, man. Can't wait to talk to you again. I'm happy that the Patriots proved you wrong early because it's probably better for your life, although you do have something to be mad about, which is COVID-19, which is good for everybody. When you're pissed off, it's great for everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, NBC Sports Boston, Tom Kerr.
Yeah!
Appreciate you, Tom. the New England Patriots fans, he came on the show before the season started, AJ. I don't know if it was the one you were on or not. He was just like, they stink. This team stinks. And then they come out and go 3-1 or whatever, and it gets to the point where it's like, they don't stink at all, and that's why Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick. That whole mental toughness thing that day that he laid out right there, plus they were traveling with a guy who had COVID.
Yeah.
So that is very, very difficult. Let's go to Kenny in New York. What's going on, Kenny?
What's up, Pat? How you and the boys doing?
Hey,
What's up, AJ?
Not too shabby, man. We hope you're doing well as well.
All right. Can the fucking Giants win one out of these next 3 games?
I think so, Kenny. I think so, Kenny. Kenny, I appreciate your call. That NFC East, I'll tell you what. Dwayne Haskins benched, not even taking reps at practice. Like, hey, excuse me, a guy who has a hamstring is a shin. He will be taking reps over you, Dwayne. Just cross your arms, sit off to the side, see you later, don't do anything. So the Washington football team now has a brand new situation. Is Kyle Allen going to be the guy? Who knows? Are they going to bring in Alex Smith? Can't wait to watch. It feels like that team doesn't know what they are because they truly don't know what they are. They're not even a team that has a name yet, and we like the president over there, Ron Rivera, we like everything they got going on, but they don't have figured out. Dallas Cowboys, the team that this guy said is going to be in the Super Bowl, they don't have anything figured out over there. Philadelphia Eagles, who the fuck knows with them? So the Giants are still right in the middle of this thing, and if Danny Dimes can do what a lot of quarterbacks who kind of have his stature and his ability can do, if he can take over and win a couple games, if you end this second quarter of the season, if you go into half the way through the season, now who knows what's going to happen with COVID, if they have 2 wins out of their first 8 games, they have to be sitting there thinking, hey, we're still potentially in the driver's seat of this NFC East right now.
Yeah, they do. Well, do you think the Giants can beat the Cowboys?
Who knows?
Anybody can beat the Cowboys.
Cowboys secondary, they can't go full speed for 70 plays. That offense with Dak and them are going to have to keep them on the sidelines a little bit more so those guys have a chance against everybody. But that Cowboys team, I think they got a lot to figure out as well. It's the same story. Jason Garrett, it's the same. Just transfer or plug out the Clapper and put in Big Mike. It feels like it's the same exact story. Will Mike be able to turn it around in years to come? Maybe this year he'll be able to turn it around. But it just feels like the same old story every single year. A lot of talent. Big marquee names just can't, for whatever reason, get it all together. And what is it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah, and Jason Garrett, where is this game being played? Is it New York or Dallas?
You're right. Jason Garrett is in a revenge game right now.
At the Cowboys.
He's in a revenge game, and also at the same time, Mike McCarthy is in an all-time pressure-packed situation. I mean, every single game is, but if you lose to the Giants right now and the old coach of the Cowboys is the offensive coordinator, and they haven't been able to do anything offensively yet leading up to this game. That's not a great look if you're Big Mike.
You think Big Mike and Jason Garrett have a handshake pregame with their masks on and the camera shoot them, and they go, this fucking place. Jason Garrett's like, man, you should.
What if Jason, you think Jason's like,
it's
hey,
crazy,
man, hey, how's it going with Jer? And Big Mike's like, all right.
Hey,
I'll talk to you after.
Hey, Big Mike, how's that office that you have to do 10 corporate meetings a day in? How's that? How's the practice field that has an entire building plaza around it for random people? And Big Mike, how's it all going there? All right, okay. He got his mask on.
I got a game to win.
I got against you, okay? Mike McCarthy, is that dialed in, huh? You don't think you would even?
He might. I'm sure he would be polite and he'd be nice, but I don't think he's getting into anything before a game. I think every single ounce of energy Big Mike has right now is going towards how do we find a way to win some football games? Because I want to be here. I want to be a head coach in the league for longer, and I want to stay with the Dallas Cowboys.
How long is this deal worth? 8 years or something?
Yeah, something like that.
8 years ago?
5 maybe?
No chance.
5? Somebody got 8.
Jerry's not like the Browns in Cincinnati. If they have a coach that still has multiple years left on his deal, they usually aren't going to fire him because they don't want to pay a guy to leave and go somewhere else and then bring someone else in. So I don't think Jerry has that big of an issue of sending some money somebody's way and letting them go. I'm not saying he's firing Big Mike. There's definitely wouldn't do it after year 1, I don't think.
Well, we gotta see how Jerry views Big Mike, because they had that big night. Remember, Mike went down to Jerry's house. They had a big celebration. Are they like friends or boys? Because I think Jerry viewed Garrett as his son. He said he was hard to get rid of him because he viewed him as a family member, and they delayed it a couple weeks, and it was tough on the entire. It was tough on the entire family. We had to get the clapping son of a bitch son of ours out of the family, and he's going into division to a team that also stinks, but we'll hire this drunk from Pittsburgh. Let's go to Dylan in Kansas. Last call before we have to get to a break. What's up, Dylan?
Hey, Pat. Hey, boys. Just wanted to first off congratulate you guys on the success that you're having. I've been with you guys since the beginning, and it has truly been a privilege to see you guys get the recognition that you deserve.
The privilege is ours, Dylan.
First off.
And I don't know if we're getting the recognition that we deserve. But I appreciate you, boss man. Thank you so much. What do you want to talk about?
Well, hey, I wanted to ask, do you see Johnny Football Flacco coming out and lighting up this Arizona Cardinals defense?
Great question, Dylan. I mean, Joey Football, this guy last week got a chance to go in, then immediately came out because of a Narcan shot probably into the shoulder of Sam Darnold. Now he gets a chance to prove all his haters wrong. He's bounced around a couple times. Now he could potentially find a home and save Adam Gase a job. Will Joey Flacco show those glimpses of greatness that he had that made him an elite Super Bowl champion, $100 million quarterback? Or will laissez-faire Joe Flacco just kind of do his thing and let the Arizona Cardinals get back into a heater against the New York Jets? TBD, we shall see. All signs point to Jets still stink.
Yep. Well, think about Cliff Kingsbury at the same time. Now, he's not in the same position as Mike McCarthy, but you think this is another pressure-packed situation? Like, hey, we came out of the gates hot. Kyler looked good. The team was looking good. And then we've stumbled the last few weeks. We definitely cannot stumble against the New York Jets with Joe Flacco starting at the quarterback position.
It is, because those super terrible teams, whenever you play, when their record's super terrible, it is so much pressure on the other team. It's like, hey, any NFL game you can lose any given Sunday. Okay,
hell yeah.
The inch in front of you, the inch behind, all that. Any given Sunday, a team can lose, and if you lose to the Jets, you become the team that makes them not completely defeated for a season. That is a tall task. And going into those games, people are always like, "Oh, this could be, they could be a trap game. They're looking ahead." I have a completely different feeling. A lot of people are like, we can't lose this one. This is one we can't lose because this is tough. Because the year we were 2-14, there was 9 games I think we could have won. It was 1-score games that if we, somehow a ball gets deflected, pick 6, we win. Like which could happen on any given play. It's like it would suck to be those teams, but hey, that's why the NFL is the NFL. We have to get to a break here. Thursday, October 8th, 2020. McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk here on the Pat McAfee Show. On the other side, we will talk about
Oh, you're pointing to me.
Yeah, dude.
Come on,
what do you mean?
Little give and take.
Can't really tell. It's super zoomed in today. I can barely see ourselves.
The hell's that about?
What's that all about?
Fix your camera.
Is that
Is that
you
how it went out on YouTube? No, it's how the connection came when when you guys called me.
Oh, so it's on us, you're saying?
No, I think it's on FaceTime or something.
Oh, it's on the tag.
It's on your
Okay, so no fingers can be pointing at anybody. This is actually at potentially Steve Jobs or even Tim Cook at this point.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Got it. Okay. What would you like to talk about whenever we come back, AJ? You've been cooking on something?
Yeah, I think we should talk about how ever since Steve Jobs died, Tim Cook just hasn't innovated at all.
At all.
Has done as well. I know it's a sports show, but I think that has some tie-ins.
We just talked about it. We just said everything we had to say.
You're right.
Tim Cook's just been riding a wave, and their stock's been going yodelly, yodelly.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, he's so successful. It's like, fucking make something, dude. Just give us something. And every update you make, why does it have to crash 5 times before you actually figure it out? Don't give me the update till the son of a bitch has all the bugs out.
Yes.
Why in 2020 are we still sending the bugs in on the update? Hey, Tim, I appreciate everything you got handed or whatever, and I know that you've taken Apple to this next level or whatever, but Apple's supposed to be, financially he has. I mean, Apple could buy everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Bezos at this
$1 trillion.
point. But I'm just saying, like, the reason why Apple's Apple is because they got rid of the Maggie little computer that looked like every other computer.
Yep, the Lisa.
Yeah, the Lisa. They got rid of the Lisa or whatever, and they started innovating. And that is what Apple is. And Apple's got everything we got now. I only go as Apple goes because I've been around for so long. I would like Apple to go a little bit better than the other people have been going, which I banked on Apple doing when I decided to buy completely everything in on Apple because of how convenient everything was, how nice everything was, how easy it was to use, and how Steve Jobs made a lot of people work very, very hard for a long, long time and probably not see their families for a while. But they created things that changed the world. Now they're just kind of sitting back raking in the cash from that, and I'm being held hostage because I got all my shit tied in there. It's like, I appreciate the privacy. I appreciate what you guys did in the past, but you guys are living off this nostalgia piece a little bit too much, and we need to get back to the fucking drawing board and take over the world yet again, Tim Cook. That is what I think.
Competition breeds innovation, and there's no competition.
Well, Samsung, I mean, that is kind of the issue. Is there's other things that
I ask them, they would say they have a lot of competition. Though.
Well, of course they would.
They have to.
They don't know.
But you nailed it. Like, listen, Tim, we don't want a new fucking iPad. All right, give us something else. Okay.
We don't want more dongles. They're making all their money selling dongles because you have to plug in 6 adapters if you want to charge your computer now.
It's horseshit. It's true. Enough with the dongles.
Come on, Timmy.
No more dongles.
All right, Big Sports Show, 227. We're back on the other side. Some phone calls, and I don't know if we'll talk about Apple anymore, but we will talk about Shad Khan selling his $199 million yacht, potentially an AJ investment. We will find out. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'd also potentially taken over their 30 edibles because I thought more teammates of mine were going to want to indulge in that either before the game or after the game. And to get to London, you go through your own TSA here. The team has TSA that you have to check in. Here's my passport. The Colts already have it. They took it all from everybody. It's literally you get your bags checked and then you're through. Put them in a little thing. We're good to go. It's team's TSA. Get on the bus, fly over there. I forgot all about them. Didn't utilize them at all because how things quickly changed.
Right.
After we lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, we're on the team bus. They go, hey, we're going through Heathrow Airport through the real-life TSA. And at that moment, I look around. And I go, oh, no. I have some things in my bag right now that have vitamins in them. I have to get rid of them. And at that point, I'd whittled it down to like 15 of them. And I look at Vinatieri, and I'm like, buddy, not good. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I guess I'm just going to throw them away in here. Couldn't do that because right next to the trash can was an English police officer. So I couldn't just walk up and dump a bunch of edibles into the thing next to the guy. He's going to ask questions. We're going to the Heathrow Airport. Now I got to do what I got to do. We finally get there. Police escorts, a lot going on. So I just take down 13 edibles.
Yikes.
See you later. Vinatieri looks at me and goes, how you doing, bub? I was like, good now, but things are about to happen. He goes, I got you, little buddy. I'm like, thank you. So we go through the little check-in thing. And right before we get to the scan of the bags thing, it all hits me. I might as well have been on Cloud 45 over there in London. They check my bag, boom, boom, boom. I get selected. Something was in my bag. So now all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, did I leave a couple in there? Oh my God. Vinatieri starts walking ahead. He turns around, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, they got my bag, man. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. So he comes and stands with me. He's like, I got you, bub. I was like, they might got me, for real. I might be staying the night in England. They go through my bag. Turns out, had a vibrating toothbrush. Thing was vibrating in my bag.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it must have been this. Or it must have been my big-ass toothpaste because you can't fly with that. I was like, you got it, pal. I get all the way back to the plane. Lost my ticket somewhere. Somehow I don't have a ticket. So now I got to check into the gate people that I don't have a ticket. I'm like, I'm on this plane. I promise I am, but I don't have a ticket. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, Patrick McAfee. McAfee? No, yeah, whatever you want to call me. I just need a ticket. So now I have to sit there and wait as somebody brings me a ticket from the front while my entire team walks by me, knowing that I'm on Cloud 50, just having a good time. Grigson walks by, just upset, obviously. I wish he would have known that I was in a mood where he should have talked to me there. It was just a nightmare. The London trip for me from beginning to end was not good, and I think that happens for a lot of NFL players.
for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Oh, this is a great song.
It is.
This is one of our real bangers we have in here. The artist is Just Jelly. Oh,
like that.
Keep the peanut butter, cuz.
Just fire.
Just Jelly. This is called The Fall, and I believe that's because it's quite a buildup. And then it all comes crashing down during the fall. We're about to meet the fall here, I think, with our ear holes in the next 10 to 15 seconds. Here comes AJ. I mean, it already happened, but wait till you hear this build up. Do you hear that kind of like get a little slow there, AJ? You hear that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hold on. Just wait.
What do you mean?
But then it's like
Like Sandstorm by Darude. That's a good one.
Oh, that was good. But this kind of like everybody shouting then. A little bit softer now. A little bit louder now. A little bit louder now. That's kind of what Just Jelly is. You know what I mean? That's what Just Jelly the Fall is. And I will wait.
Should play this at weddings.
You've already come too far. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
You can hear the countdown of what's happening.
Hear that snare?
Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Are you kidding me, AJ? It was worth it. Every single second of waiting for that thing to build, for the fall to come from Just Jelly was 100% worth it. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. McAfee and Hawk here, Hour 3 on Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, home of JT the Brick. He's the overnight guy here on Channel 82, Sunday to Thursday. AJ, we've had a great show here today, I think, thus far. A lot of good conversations. James Jones came out, former Green Bay Packer, I believe teammate of yours, I'd assume, at some point. Yeah. And he's talking about how much he loves Aaron Rodgers and all that. But he also then went on to talk about he loves the Chicago Bears tonight. 2 scores, 31-17, his prediction, because he thinks this Bears defense is going to shut down Tom Brady. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate, because this morning while I was taking a shit, I hammered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at -3.5. It just made me feel good. But the way he was talking with his confidence made me a little bit scared. How do you see the game going this evening between Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Big Dick Nick Foles and the Chicago Bears?
I mean, what is Foles going to look like? If Foles can be Foles like the first game when he was plugged into the lineup when he didn't start, then yeah, maybe. But I still have a hard time picking the Bears over the Bucs tonight. I don't know if they can get enough pressure on Tom, and I feel like, who knows, maybe it's prime time. Maybe Tom wants to get Gronk involved a little bit finally, and they have a few weapons. I just think the Bucs, I think they find a way to win. 2
weeks ago, Gronk got involved mightily. I think he got like six passes or whatever. I don't know if he had sex, but I mean, hopefully not, because that is COVID.
That's not involved mightily for Gronk standards.
Yeah, I agree, but there was like one drive where Tom was looking at nobody else. It was like the Antonio Brown drive whenever he was on the Patriots. He was just looking at him specifically, sending a message, by the way, to everybody. If anybody wanted to watch, this is a message I'm sending to everybody. I like this guy. Then this last weekend, O.J. Howard had a big game. He tears his Achilles. He's out. Brate has a big game. He's still in, I believe. But this does feel like it could potentially be a Gronk game. Thursday Night Football, you go back to what you like the most. Tom Brady without O.J. Howard, rest in peace to his Achilles. It is one of those things where you do feel like Gronk is probably going to come in big, especially if we don't know about Mike Evans. Oh, Scotty Miller's playing, which is great news. Obviously, he is a deep threat. He is a problem for everybody, a la all the other, slot receivers that Tom Brady has had great success with. I like the Bucs tonight because I just don't know if that Chicago Bears offense can do absolutely anything. I mean, anything. 2 quarterbacks, same old outcome it feels like. And if, to your credit, if Nick Foles gets in there in that second half where he had 3 tutters, which should have been 4 actually with a pass or with an interception called that should have been a touchdown, maybe they have a chance here. But we just don't know if that's the case because this Buccaneers defense is very good at football. I mean, they are a very good D as well. So it's not like a cakewalk on the other side of the ball for Nick Foles.
And people forget that Ndamukong Suh is in the middle there for Tampa and still making plays. He had the huge caused fumble last week. Like, that guy can still disrupt people, especially up the middle, which is what you want to do against any quarterback. Don't let him feel comfortable to where he can step into his throws. So, I don't know, man. I think the Bears right now are a tough team to ever bet on. Like, good or bad, we don't know who they are yet.
Yeah, but by the way, 3-1. Hey, even didn't realize they are 3-1.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters, man.
All that matters. Keep your blinders on. Listen, don't listen to that fucking McAfee show, okay? I had to listen to him for 4 years. It's enough. He entertaining, yeah, sometimes, but Jesus, what he's saying about our team is not good. We should not be listening to that. Let's go to Ryan in Alabama. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you been doing?
Not too shabby. How is it down there in Alabama? We Roll Tide or War Eagle, pal?
War Eagle, my man.
War Eagle. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I grew up in D.C. or near D.C. I've been a big Washington, football fan for now.
There you go.
Thank you.
I got a question. When am I supposed to completely give up on this team?
Oh, not now.
It's been 20 years of disappointment. Nah, dude, I don't think you talked about how Dwayne Haskins was good. I don't think if you put Aaron Rodgers in there, it could work.
Oh, that's wrong.
That's incorrect right there. That is incorrect right there.
By
By the way, what if...
Don't even go there.
What?
I know where you're going. Just stop, okay? Can we just enjoy what we got going on right now?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, the Green Bay Packers made it very clear that you will not end your career here. Nope. Okay, you will not. And it doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. And what is a team that if they had a guy playing quarterback for them, their fan base would be so thankful and excited and love football again?
I mean,
oh my God!
Washington Rodgers
First it's
football.
Cleveland, now it's Washington. I mean, what do you want to do to the guy?
No. You're right.
Speculation.
Let's not even put it out there into the world. Much like I got a bunch of text messages saying, "Don't even mention bubble about the NFL because we don't even want that in the universe." From a lot of players, told me to basically go fuck myself for even saying that bubble could happen, which I understand because I would not want to do it either. But when you talk about the Washington football team, it's very clear. Okay, Dwayne Haskins is not Ron Rivera's guy. All right. This is what happens in the business of the NFL when new GMs, new head coaches come in. They want to build a team in a certain fashion, and if you don't fit it, it doesn't matter when you were drafted, how much you got paid, where you're signed, they will move on from you. We're watching it in a very public platform here because Dwayne Haskins was the named starter going into the year, and that team's entire building was burning around him. I think a lot of people said, hey, what do you expect from Dwayne Haskins this season? And that is a very valid question because they're a team with no name. 2 exposés about that thing. Get everybody out. Let's get new people in here. All right, also, offensive line, not great. Skill position, not that great. Dan Orlovsky said, what was the expectation of Dwayne Haskins? Did you want him to go undefeated here? Maybe. If that's the case, you're not living in reality probably with the sense of what the Washington football team is. But this feels like a classic case of he doesn't fit what they want the team to be in the future. Who knows what they want the team to be in the future. But I don't think now's the time to give it up. I think Ron Rivera has had success, and they're turning the corner potentially in that building. This year could be tough for you, but the NFC East, they could get hot and win that thing. Nobody has a clue. But I think in the next couple of years, whenever you see the team kind of take shape around what Ron Rivera's vision is, then maybe you can give up because you're in the middle of a rebuild as well over there.
Yeah, you are, and now you just add the quarterback position, just make it another issue. I guess what are they hoping that Kyle Allen is their guy and he's going to prove that he's the franchise quarterback moving forward?
Here's a quote from Ron Rivera, reported by @Mike Garafolo. Ron Rivera says, with the NFC East title wide open, basically, I'd be stupid not to give it a shot with a QB they know and trust to run things the right way. So I don't know if Mike Garafolo added on to run with a QB that can run things the right way, like his own little personal anecdote, or if Ron Rivera actually said that, and then that's a massive shot at Dewey Haskins. But Dwayne Haskins was sitting on basically behind where the punters would stand during 7-on-7 yesterday in practice, got 0 reps. It's pretty apparent that they're moving on, and if they think they can win some games in that NFC East, that you're going to only have to win a couple to win it, I mean, why wouldn't you go for it, I guess? But that's just saying the right thing, too, if you're a guy that knows your team's probably in a rebuild.
Did you see Marcus Spears' comments on this yesterday?
No, what did he say?
He had a good minute and a half, little bit of a rant, just saying how much he respected Ron Rivera, how much everyone respects Ron Rivera, but he's like, something didn't sit right. He said with what Rivera has said. When Rivera said Kyle Allen has a better grasp of the offense, he knows the playbook better and all this. And Spears' issue was, why didn't you start him from the beginning then? What was Haskins doing for 4 games? Why did you even do this if you felt like this guy was better in the first place?
Almost feels like they kind of put him out there as a
buffer, sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, we'll let people see why we bench him or something like that. But it's just, I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback get so much sympathy basically from around the NFL because we've all seen what he's had to go through here publicly, very publicly. Everything that's happening behind closed doors that you don't normally hear about, we've heard about that as well. 3 head coaches in 13 games here, new offense, new everything, new team name, new building. It's just like, it doesn't really feel like he's getting a fair shake. But the NFL, hey, it ain't about National Fair League, okay? That ain't what the F in NFL stands for, pal. What's up?
For Dewey, they made him a captain. Does that hold any weight whatsoever, or is it just like it doesn't even matter?
Or maybe they put the C on him. I don't know. None of it really makes much sense, but hey, they got a lot to deal with over there in Washington.
I think it's simple as what Rivera just said. Like, I don't think they thought they had a shot to win at all going into the season, and now they're looking at the division like, holy shit, we can actually win this thing. Now's the time. Let's make the switch and let's go get it.
Oh, so they were trying to tank with Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, that's a bigger shot than mine. That is a much bigger shot at Dwayne. Like, I think we can lose 16 with this guy.
We get Trevor Lawrence if he's playing.
Strap a C on him. I mean, that is a hell of a shot if that is what they did. Let's go to Wayne in South Africa.
Nice.
Wayne, stay out of the water. I heard the great white sharks down there smell blood at all times.
Oh, dude, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Get in the water, you're fucked.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought there.
Yeah, no, it's true.
What part of South Africa are you in?
Well, I'm not in South Africa at the moment, but I'm from Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
Okay.
Port.
Okay, so if I called into a show, I'd say Pittsburgh, but potentially Ireland and 0.09%.
Wow,
Italy.
Ireland? Whoa.
That's what I would say, potentially say. Whoa. What are you saying about Ireland?
You said something about it. You said I was from Ireland.
No, I said I was from Ireland. I think there's a little bit of a potential language barrier here we're fighting against. Where do you live at now? Are you in America or are you somewhere else?
I'm in the U.S., so some might call me an African-American, but I'm in Wisconsin.
Oh, you're over there in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to talk about, brother?
Well, firstly, I need to say that in a year that we've got the good old Rona and the good old killer bees flying around and half the world talking about the fly landing on a dude's head on live television, you motherfuckers are making 1 million subscribers on YouTube. God damn, that's impressive.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, this guy.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Wouldn't have been able to do it without you and all of South Africa's help here either.
Hey, I clicked subscribe probably 2 years ago, buddy, so I've been subscribing for a long time. You got to get on that train early, you know what I'm saying?
Toot. We appreciate you, Wayne. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Yeah, so as a former skill player in the United States back in 2001, where I was a kicker for the Royal Panthers in Elroy, Wisconsin, I understand how difficult it is to be a kicker in the NFL. And I was wondering, with these new onside kicks that are really just failing, if we're honest about it, if we can get to a way where in rugby where we drop kick that son of a bitch 30 meters. Now, you're going to have to get Gumpy to tell you how high 30 meters is. If we kick that thing 30 meters up in the air and get those guys to get a better chance of getting the ball, as opposed to just, pull curing that thing along the ground. I also had a question for AJ.
Hold on, Wayne. Hold on, Wayne. Let's answer that question.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
Okay, go.
So if you've kicked professionally, which you have, by the way, for the Royals, you understand that American football is built much different than a rugby ball, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so a rugby ball is much more rounder at the bottom, so whenever you drop kick it and you bounce it, it can get a little bit more flight in the air controlled so that you can kick underneath of it, right? Much more like a soccer ball drop kick almost, more so than...
Yeah, but I would imagine, with the skills that you have and the skills that I have as professional kickers, we could probably hone our craft in order to be able to get that thing down pat, if you will.
Yeah, well, aside from you and me, Wayne, I think a lot of people would say it'd be very difficult to do that with an NFL ball because it won't bounce high enough for you to get your foot up underneath it. But I have seen that recommended, and maybe guys like you and me will get back into the NFL and be able to do that. What is your next question, Wayne?
Oh, I'm too old, Pat. I'm too old. They couldn't afford to have me back.
All right, Wayne, I appreciate that. Me too. We're both retired, but if there's anybody like us that could potentially get the football to drop like a rugby ball, which could be very difficult because they're built very differently. But if guys like us could do it, I'm sure other people could do it. What's your question for AJ, Wayne?
Well, my question for AJ was, we hear a lot of stories from Pat. During the break there, we heard a little bit about the vitamins, and it seems like being in that Colts locker room was a lot of fun, something that I might have enjoyed hanging around too. The stories from AJ, we don't hear too much. Obviously, you had Big Mike there for a little while, and that'd be pretty boring.
Whoa, dude!
Were there any cool stories like that from that sort of ilk that kind of happened whilst you were there?
Thank you for your question, Wayne. Love that we have cracked into the South African market, by the way. That feels very good. Wisconsin, South African market in Wisconsin. Yep. Was there any cool locker room story? You guys had a fun locker room? You guys get along? Was it more a mature locker room? What was the type of locker room you guys had over there?
Well, throughout my 9 years there, it kind of changed. You know how it changes. When I kind of got there towards the end of like the old guard, I played 2 years with Favre, but the majority of his offensive line, like these guys that were mainstays, they were kind of on their way out, or most of them were gone. There was a few left over. So then it became like a much younger team, I think, when my draft class came in, and then the guys behind me. But no, we got along great. We really did. But I've told you before, Pat, like our flights, things that we did was not like other places to where you guys are bringing booze all over the plane and you can sneak it on. Like that didn't really happen in Green Bay.
You guys missed out.
No fun.
No tour at all either.
Jeez. Oh. Yeah. Were you even in the NFL?
I don't know. I wonder. The plane ride home is what you play for. Like, that was basically what I was taught my first couple of years. Like, hey, we all want to be on that plane ride home, right? Yep. Okay, here we go. Let's win. Like, that is almost like the mission statement at some different points. It was like, hey, this flight home is going to be awesome because this is the only time any of us who are all married, all older, this is the only time any of us, and we all watch so much film, this is the only time we have any chance of having a good time is that flight ride home. And as soon as it's over, we all have our drivers, and then we're right back to work or whatever. It was like that flight ride home was we're going to have a good time here. So if we won, it was awesome. If we lost, nobody did anything. So it was like almost the entire team lost their opportunity to have a good time. It's like that adds into it. Like, hey, that adds into a little bit. We dial it in every single day, and then that flight ride home, we dance on everybody's graves at 32,000. I mean, it is a good. I can't believe you guys didn't do it. It ended, by the way, with the next regime. It ended. It was a little bit, but it was nothing like it was the first regime. But you're right. The locker room does kind of change. I can't believe you guys didn't have that, though.
I talked to the trainers there, and they were telling me beforehand, like back in the day, I think like early 90s maybe, when you walked on the plane, I guess everyone had like a little brown bag with 2 or 3 beers in it, like every seat. And so the trainer's like, it was the best because, there's obviously guys that don't drink, and I could accumulate 40 beers if I wanted to and try to finish them on the 35-minute flight home from Detroit.
It's like something we all had a role in, like, hey, you're going to bring what? Okay, we're going to get this. All right, this is going to be here. All right, cool. It was like a planned party. Like we were planning a party, basically. It was like the specialists, all right, we got a rookie, our young guy, Pat. Yeah, what are you going to bring? I guess a cartoon-sized bottle of Crown Royal. Yep, okay, that's what I'll bring. All right, who's bringing the beers? Oh, actually, the equipment manager from the other team is actually getting us beers. Somebody has to go pick that up. Okay, we'll pick that. It was like coordinating a party in the sky, and it was incredible. It was so much fun. But as the next regime came in and the team got younger and different, everything changed, I would always potentially walk to the back just to see what was going on in the back of the plane. And Robert Mathis would be back there having a good time. But you'd see so many people that are like, oh, we're going to sleep, or we're going to watch film right now in the game, or we're going to have our headphones on.
How disappointed were you when you would walk back there with your sad face?
I mean, it's a fucking different game. It's a young man's game, I guess, and it is not as fun as it used to be. And then AQ got on our team, and AQ sat in the same row as me. And we had to try not look obnoxious while we were celebrating, while everybody around us was just all locked in doing crossword puzzles or whatever. Mm-hmm. And me and AQ were like, hey, all right, let's go. We're cracking these back, right? Yep, here we go. We're in the middle. I mean, it was just those moments. It was something that was very special, and I'm very lucky I got to experience. I can't believe you guys didn't do that though. That makes me judge a lot of people.
I mean, there's a little bit, but nothing like. They were strict, man. Like, they were strict on how they did everything, how they didn't want people sneaking stuff on. Remember, I was playing too when they used to serve the coaches. They used to serve your coaches. Like, our coaches all sat in first class. They used to serve them when I first got to Green Bay. But then I think what happened was a baseball player got in a wreck on the driving home from the park, drunk or something, and they took booze off the planes for coaches.
So that was a big everybody had drivers back then. It was a well-coordinated party. I mean, it was a very well set up party, and everybody kind of knew what was going on. And then we had a great road record. And I think a lot of people would ask why. I'm like, I think I know why. Like, on that trip home, we are having a blast. Let's go to Will in Virginia. What's going on, Will?
Hey, Pat. Thanks for having me on, you and the boys. Quick question and suggestion. This one's for Ty, actually. What's it like to have a childhood hero like Mr. Rodgers on the show every week? And may I be the first to nominate Mad Mel as the intro speaker for Mr. Rodgers in Canton when that comes around?
Oh, wow. Yes. That Mad Mel clip is still legendary to this day, always will be. But it is pretty cool, I'd assume.
Oh, it's very cool.
I mean,
it's very cool.
You guys are friends at this point, but I mean, it is a very cool thing.
Well, I was just thinking the other day, like, you know, I mean, I've been a Packers fan for a really long time, but for a lot of those years with Favre, you're kind of you're a fan, but you're too young to really care. Like, as I've grown up and matured, like, Rodgers has been there the whole time. So basically, as long as I've been an adult, he's been the quarterback in Green Bay, and yet now you get to fucking chop it up with him every week. It's pretty cool.
He's awesome, man. It is so awesome. And you obviously know him much better than anybody else potentially on earth at this point. But it's like everybody's getting to learn about this guy who is at the top of the world in what he does in the biggest league. It's very cool. It is very cool. And we're on what, Stadium Swim out there at the Circle Las Vegas doing chopper boppers are flying around town. I mean, it is very, very cool to get to
was that a new like pool club they had that they just built?
I guess it's an adult-only casino, a sports book thing they got going on there. It's like a pool party, allegedly. Now, I'm only saying this because I've gotten 7 billion tweets about it. I guess they're trying to build a place that you never have to leave. Like, you just never have to leave. Sports are there. You got a sports book. You got a casino here. You got a pool party here. At night, there's a club over here. It's just, they're trying to make something that you never, ever have to leave, which in Vegas, I assume, will do well. I assume that will.
Like a bubble.
Their grand opening is the end of this month.
Perfect time to open one of those, by the way. It's right in the middle of a pandemic. That's really good business planning. I guess they could have never done that. But that Jumbotron is fucking stadium worthy. I mean, that is a stadium Jumbotron at this point.
Looked like it was Jerry's.
I thought it was a stadium at first until they kind of zoom around in the helicopter. I'm like, oh, that's a pool? What is this? What are we doing here?
I have a self-ban on Vegas until $100 million is in the bank account.
Hell yeah.
Can't go back out there. Can't do it.
Don't they know Vegas
Can't
isn't
do it?
the
What,
same?
you going to blow too much money?
No, it's not about blowing too much money. It's about, I mean, that's a part of it, I guess, but it's everything that I should not be around in excess at one time. You know? Love gambling. Love it. I get hot on blackjack tables. I'm not leaving. I buy hundreds of shots for people in tiny little bars. I couldn't even imagine. Well, I can imagine what I do in those. It's everything that I should not be around. So I got a self-ban. And I've heard people go to Vegas and they play golf and they watch shows. I've never seen that Vegas. I've heard it's awesome. I've heard that it is. I just have a self-ban until $100 million happens.
Okay. Makes sense.
I don't know if we're ever going to get it, so that's good for me. But you got to remember, that place is literally an answer for people when something terrible happens. When something happens, they go, oh, Vegas. It's like, you lost your house, your kids, your what? Oh, Vegas. Like,
Vegas.
That actually happens. It's like, now 20. What's that?
You go to Vegas and you fix all your problems that you have in your real life, right?
Yeah, and then you fly back to them, and they're not there anymore. No, they disappeared in the desert.
They went to Vegas.
Yeah, it's what a place, dude. Listen, I would not say that I haven't met some incredible people out there. I have met some incredible people out there in Vegas who are probably watching right now, and I will see you at some point, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Well, that place is just different. Tonight, I want you to get a great night rest. I want you to sleep better than you've ever slept before. I want you to sleep very, very comfortable. And that means that I want you to sleep on a Lisa mattress, okay? Yeah. In the old school, shopping for mattresses is no more. You know, when you go into a mattress store and it's like a used car salesperson's there trying to tell you what mattress is better. This one with the springs doesn't have lice at the 15 people that just tried the same bed out. And are you actually comfortable or are you uncomfortable and you just want to get out of there and give them an answer? Well, say no more to that. Lisa has completely changed the game. They will deliver the most comfortable mattress in the history of mattresses right to your doorstep in a box. Unboxing that mattress, that is the most comfortable mattress you've ever had in your entire life, only takes 5 minutes. It is an easy, hands-off, convenient process to get the most comfort that you could ever ask for. And right now, whenever you go to LisaSleep.com and use promo code McAfee, you get up to $350 off and a free mattress protector with promo code McAfee. That's Lisa. LEESA.com. Promo code McAfee. Up to $350 off and a free mattress protector. Place is awesome. We all sleep on Lisa mattresses. They are amazing. AJ, we got about 10 seconds. So I would normally let you give a motivational speech to the listeners on SiriusXM, but the day's over. We'll be back tomorrow for a Feel Good Friday. Chris Mad Dog Russo is next on the home of JT the Brick. What's going on, AJ?
Are you good? Do you have to yell at the producer in your ear?
No, he just said we're good. He was complimentary to us earlier, so it feels like we're really getting along. Feels like we're really getting along. What's the website? Lisa?
It is lisa.com, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's on me. I should have wrote that down before the show started. But their mattresses are fucking unbelievable.
Best. So confident.
That needs to be talked about.
Is that mattress protector, did they throw that in case you piss the bed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens,
Jesus, dude.
Stop. Like, come on.
What else is a mattress protector for? I have
for you, if you kill your dog on
9
it, probably,
protectors
or-
on each bed.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. Like, probably piss in one particular aspect, but also sweat. You know, some people sweat at night, kind of drips through and
Are
makes
you that guy back in your day when you could drink? Are you that guy that pees the bed?
Never the bed, but boy, if it looked like a toilet, it could get it. It could get it every once in a while. You know what I mean? And it would be like a sleepwalk too. You know, it's like sleepwalking. Oh, that looks like that could be a toilet. And in the next morning, I would always be like, I could see. Yeah, I could see how that could potentially be.
Hey, you know, I think our guy Bobby, I think he legit goes by General Bob.
Oh, you're talking about Benedict Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
You're talking about Benedict Bob.
Uh-oh. I don't know what happened.
You know. He's selling General Bob merch at other stores.
Yeah.
He's going on a General Bob speaking tour.
Starting tonight.
He's doing all of these things. It's like, whoa, I thought, whoa.
Are you serious?
Yes, Benedict Bob is making an appearance tonight on some show as General Bob. He'll have shirts from Homage, which, by the way, we like that company, make great shirts. But General Bob shirts from
Homage,
Homage.
Homage.
It's an homage.
They make great shirts. They should be pronounced homage. It's like Target. They make very comfortable shirts. But Benedict Bob is on a speaking tour now, and he's doing all this stuff. It's like, what are we even doing there, General?
Enjoy it, General.
Yeah, he brought back football.
He's capitalizing on the moment. Are you saying you want some royalties or something?
No, we just a little just a little. Hey, how's it going? Thanks, we'll keep it moving. You know what I mean? Just one of those. But no, General Bob.
You know, my brother. The reason I brought that up, my brother sent me a screenshot. He said, "Hey, this is how I intro Bob now." Like, so, some guy wanted to get to Bobby to have him on a show. My brother types up a little intro to both, like with everybody involved. Hey, Brad, whoever it is, this is General Bob on here. He is the one who 100% is the one who brought Big Ten football back. I'll let you guys take it from here. Cheers, whatever. And then Bob goes from there.
It's true.
Listen, General Bob should be on a victory lap. Okay, he brought football back, which was one of the biggest lines I've ever heard somebody say, and he actually did do it. And I appreciate that, but it's just, I mean, maybe I do like that he's running with it as his own brand. Maybe I don't think he's Benedict in this entire. I don't think he's a turncoat. Maybe I'm proud of General Bob.
He's not Eisenhower.
Yeah, maybe he is.
He's a turncoat.
No, he's General
It's
Bob.
Benedict Bob.
Let's
It's
not forget
okay.
he brought football. He brought Big Ten football back.
Well, they're not playing yet, are they?
Tie.
Let me check the schedule.
War's not won, you
No,
say.
they're not.
Did you watch the vice president debates?
I did not. I saw the clips though. I saw the
fly.
I watched that first presidential debate because all the politics people are like, oh, this is it. This is our Super Bowl or whatever. And I watch it, and I just was so. I don't want to say it kind of made me disappointed, but I was very like, oh, okay, all right, this is.
I thought you would love just the pure chaos of it.
Well, you do. I do enjoy like
hilarious.
If I turn them into like wrestling characters, I love it. You know what I mean? But then I guess there's some people that are like, well, this is real life, which it definitely isn't, by the way. I think we all know at this point that nothing is real life. But I've just decided that, it's football season. I'm going to focus on football. I'm going to focus on football. But the fly coming down from the sky, if that is how, if the video I saw on the internet is exactly how that fly made its arrival, that is fucking outrageous. That thing came down like a missile and didn't even, it didn't even move on the, it was, wild. And I did not watch the thing last night. No,
I didn't. I didn't really either. I turned it on for a second, and then I'm like, all right,
AJ,
I got to stick to football, right? I got to dive back into the playbook.
Well, nobody's coming to me for what the fuck I think about a vice presidential debate, and I know that. Like, I very much know that. So it's not like, all right, I could do something else here with my life. But AJ, what I want you to do is vote. Okay, I want you to vote, dude.
Rock the vote.
All right,
Rock the vote.
Hey, rock the vote.
Come on now.
Are you guys? I thought you and the boys are doing a video where you all like get naked and tell everybody to vote. I know
Yeah.
It's coming out.
Yeah.
Like Zito's going to be holding his pecs, like telling you to vote.
If you want me to do that, I've been eating a lot of estrogen.
I'm not sure that's.
A lot of soy or what?
Yeah, estrogen gives you man boobs.
No, we know that.
Yeah, but I don't think you just eat it.
Yeah, I got tricked the other day at Starbucks.
Like
They put estrogen in your latte?
No, in the sandwich.
Oh, they put estrogen in his.
Impossible.
Can't imagine what the real.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Here, like nobody comes to this show for any political advice, so there's no reason for me to even act as if I know. But boy, when you view them as wrestlers, from the clips that I've seen, if you view them as wrestlers, it's much more entertaining as opposed to being real life. Like, okay, we got heel, we got babyface here. Let's go ahead and see what happens. This person wants to kill people. This one wants to keep them alive. All right, here we go. That's how you got to view it. Other than that, nobody's coming to me, man. But we would like you to vote because it is your civic duty.
Go vote.
Go vote.
Go vote.
If you don't vote, by the way, just never talk again. That's what I've been told.
Can't.
AJ?
Not allowed.
Maybe
Not in this country.
Maybe you should vote, or you got to be a mute again.
Oh, yeah.
I'll choose mute then.
AJ, this is not a game.
Dude,
AJ.
it's 1776.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, hey, believe me, Paul. I don't care. I don't care enough about what's going on. Like,
Oh, AJ! You have to vote!
I don't have a well thought out opinion. Like I've told people this in the past. They
find
asked
one.
me to be a part of certain like these things that they're doing. I was like, hey man, like, I don't have.
You do have great
I
examples.
legit haven't looked into it. I don't have like an opinion that I'm comfortable
busy to
giving.
vote.
Like, so that's how I feel about
Well,
it.
AJ, then you got to do what everybody else does and just look at somebody who's supposed to have an opinion and don't do any research at all and just take their opinion for gospel and then you go rock the vote. That's what you need to do.
Well said.
You're right. I'm gonna. You know what? I might hit the streets today, mask up, and go door to door and tell people to vote.
Let's go!
Boy.
Hey, and since you just said that you were going to do that, we're all going to vote too. Aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that, AJ. Without you saying that, we wouldn't have done it. I mean, the
You're
fucking
welcome.
people that feel as if they are so important.
Can't wait to
Take
write
your
in.
picture with your sticker on too that says you voted.
That's what people do on
Are you gonna do it, Pat? November 3rd, you gonna take a selfie and put it out there?
Bro, if you're going door to door right now telling people to vote, you might as well have said you just stopped at your first door, pal. You told me I'm going to vote.
Yeah.
I am going to vote. All right, from all of us, all of you. Hammer Down starts in 27 minutes here. YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. We are hot. Get some locks, get some bets, get some good time. I'm going to go take a poop and a phone call. AJ, you're the man. We'll see you all tomorrow. Feel Good Friday. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.
I think it's going to get a little bit better going forward because I think after 4 games we have a better idea about the teams because that's a large sample size, 1 quarter of the season. And these lines are reacting. Like these lines this week are incredible. I mean, do you see some of the highlights? I mean, Dallas is 1-3. They're a bad team, and I think they're a 9.5 point favorite going against the Giants on the early Monday line. So
That and the Texans. I think the Texans are a 7.5 point favorite, and they haven't won a game yet either.
I know, so it's great. So I think there's money to be made out there. Just like people, if they pay attention, they can make it.
You're talking about right now, you're saying, let's go ahead and get going. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's some times where you want, like, look, if you would have taken that Washington line at 12.5 against Baltimore, on Monday, but once it got up to 14.5, you didn't get it anymore. So sometimes you got to take, like the Rams are a 9-point favorite against they come back and play Washington this week. So, that probably line will move to 10.5 before the week's out.